But I think the development of full artificial intelligence will spell the end of the human race.
It's a flying object, and we don't know what it is. I would hope somebody is checking it out.
I don't know if it was a rocket or whatever, but it could be fast, opposite direction. It was too fast to be an airplane.
I'm glad the Pentagon is looking at this, because if it poses a threat, I want them on top of it.
Well, the craft generates its own gravitational field.
You said there's lights in the sky?
The internet has become the command center for criminals and terrorists.
911, what's your emergency? I need help, please help me!
Well, they won't let it happen. You know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Roswell, Area 51. Alien kept deep under the ground.
1, 0, 1, 1,
self-serving. You're here for a reason. You're listening to Troubled Minds Radio. Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness. All right, there's too much, so I'm going to have to sum up. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal. Thanks for the mute. Apoc says we can't hear you. If you can't hear me, I can't hear me, and, there you go. Aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. That's what the show's all about. Like I said, we are here with my good friend Ash the Reptilian from Mars. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. And tonight, we've got some good stuff for you. You know, there's a lot of news going around in the UFO world. It's called ufology, right? And we kind of follow that news on this show, and, you know, they've got the alien logo and the whole thing, right? We got the whole thing going on. But sometimes there's a whole lot of news that's happening really that has less to do with UFOs and a lot more to do with what would you say, government drama or something to this effect, right? It's unfortunate, but this is the way the world is anymore, is that you can't really, like I always say, guys, this is why we can't have nice things, because people are involved, and people, as they can be wonderful and amazing and weird and quirky and all the good things that people can be, people can also be gigantic pains in the asses and all the rest of that stuff, right? And so this is a perfect example of, are the aliens here? Are the aliens not here? Well, let's ask the government. Is the government is just a giant crap show, and they don't even, one hand doesn't know what the other hand's doing, and it's just full of people that are just trying to block information constantly? Well, yeah, that pretty much sums up tonight's show, just in a nutshell to kind of get us going. But there's a lot of breaking news about this. We were talking about this maybe a week ago, 10 days ago, when this actually first hit. But we'd like to zag when others zag. So we let this story develop and a little bit. And Ash got Ash on the show tonight to talk about this UFO stuff. Before we get to him, real quick, we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, D Live, and Twitter. Actually, not D Live tonight. And we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And we're taking your phone calls, right? If you want to be part of the show, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. And we'll put you on the show. It's as simple as that. You can also click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. That's the official website. All the good stuff is there, including social media links, the podcast, and all the rest of that. And if you want to help the show, when we got a new merch store up called troubledfans.com. Go to troubledfans.com. You got hats, t-shirts, and stickers, and all kinds of stuff up there now, and more merch coming on a daily basis. So do check that out. I do appreciate the people that have gone to troubledfans.com and purchased some actual Troubled Minds merch. That tickles my soul just a little bit. So appreciate that very much. Thanks, guys, for supporting the show. What do we got? We're also broadcasting on the Fringe FM. Please go join the Discord there as well. Fringe.fm/chat. We'll give you a direct invite and watch in the chat. And all the places, that would be, of course, all the places we're streaming, including both Discords. And there you go. I think that's a decent sum up. So let's see if we can tune in to Ash in Mars. So let's check this out. Let's press the button and find out if we can actually get a decent uplink to Mars. Earth to Mars, are you there? Do you copy, Ash? What's up, buddy?
Humans, can you hear me?
Loud and clear. Hey, Mars is on the correct side of the orbit, and I appreciate that we don't have any issues tonight regarding that interplanetary communication. What's going on, Ash? How you been, my man? How's things out there in your neck of the woods?
Well, I want to say we're going to have to hurry the show up. I've only got 12 hours before the rotations and the orbits won't allow me. So that's as far as I can go tonight, if that's okay.
Okay, that's fine. That's totally good by me. I think everything's lined up perfectly for what we need and the time we need it for. So that's certainly fine. I know you've been keeping an eye on this UFO news per usual. We're going to get to that in just a bit here, but you want to tell everybody about your YouTube channel and the things that you like to keep your claws on the pulse of ufology, don't you?
Yeah, I think, so first off, hello. Hi, everyone. How are you doing tonight? My name is Ash. I'm returning from Mars. And, yeah, my YouTube channel, I like to kind of dig into the conspiracy and go out in the left field, have a little fun, and come back. I'm really into remote viewing and the disclosure, aliens, and kind of like, the secrets of... I feel like we've only gone skin deep with what there is to know, and I believe in my heart as much as possible that the more you know, the better off you are, right? So that's kind of what I'm dedicated to doing, following that stuff, and I've always wanted to learn for myself. And then I'd have crazy rants, and people were like, I want to know about that too. So yeah, if you're kind of like me, you're a little crazy, but you want to know the truth. You don't. You're willing to kind of dip your toes in the crazy Martian oceans, and subscribe to my channel, Ash, the Reptilian from Mars.
And link is in the description below. You guys can find it both on the podcast and on YouTube as well, and Rockfan and everywhere else we're streaming. All right, well, let's do it then. Let's get to this. What's going on with this? All right, and you said oceans on Mars. We're going to have to get to that another time as well. Are you hiding something from us, my man? All right, we're going to get there. We'll get there one of these days. One of these days, Elon will land his rocket ship right in front of your cave, and the whole world is going to change. The whole Mars world is going to change. Okay, so let's get to this anyway. This news. It's about maybe a week and a half old. This news, right? And there was a piece that was put out by the debrief.org, all right? And it was called, wouldn't you know it, Sex, Lies, and UFOs. Pentagon's head of counterintelligence and security ousted. And this is an individual that goes by the name of Gary Reid. That's Garryreid. Gary Reid, all right? And by all accounts, this guy... it seems like he's very, very high up there. We'll get into it. Here we go. Let me just read a little bit of this. But he's he's been one of the individuals that they say is been personally responsible recently for actually covering up or hindering disclosure efforts within the government. Listen to this real quick. This is from the debrief.org, written by Tim McMillan. Good stuff. As the Pentagon's Director for Defense Intelligence and a senior executive in the Office of the Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence and Security, Gary Reed was in charge of all counterintelligence, security, and law enforcement operations within the Department of Defense, and that's worldwide. This, in addition to heading up the Afghanistan Crisis Action Group, the office tasked with evacuating Afghan refugees during Americans' withdrawal from Afghanistan. And if you've been paying any sort of attention, you'll remember that the American withdrawal from Afghanistan was a disaster, an absolute disaster in so many ways that all had us scratching our head like, what in the hell is going on here? How come the people that were there, the Americans and the Allies and all this stuff, they're interpreters and actual people that lived in Afghanistan as Afghani nationals, they were sort of left to the wolves, to the Taliban wolves, right? When like at the airport we get planes pulling out on the runway and like people shooting at the planes. I mean, this is ridiculous, right? This whole thing was ridiculous, but it turns out this Mr. Clown Shoes, Gary Reed, was in charge of this. And now things are starting to make sense, because it's coming out that this guy was also one of the individuals that was, like I said, sort of really blocking the entire situation for disclosure efforts. And again, as always, right, when you're talking about this stuff and you're talking about disclosure in government terms, it's complicated. It's always complicated because, like I said, when we started here, it's about people. Like, this is why we can't have nice things,
right? Because
you get people in the way, right? People get in the way of their damn selves, and this is an example of that. So we'll get to the rest of this article. It's very, very long. It's very, very good. Links in the description. Check it out. But he was so high up in the food chain in the Pentagon that he was Lou Elizondo's boss. And you guys all remember Lou Elizondo, the guy on the left there on the thumbnail. He was the head of ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program. And he said that he was actually frustrated with the Pentagon and their efforts to bring about disclosure, not just to Congress, but to the American people. And so Lou seems to think that, they're here. The little girl, hands on the TV screen with the static, they're here. Something like that, right? But they're not the TV people are here this time. It's the lights in the sky. They've arrived, and what they are remains to be seen. We'll always speculate about that on this show. But in this capacity, Lou says they're here. At least has hinted heavily, and the reason he quit the Pentagon was because of this guy, this D-bag named Gary Reed. And there we go. So as we get going tonight, the question for you is this. Of course, as always, we're taking your phone calls. If you want to be part of this discussion, you can talk to me and Ash. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. We'll put you on the show. But the thing is this, right? The question tonight. Now, regarding disclosure, and we've talked about this before on this show, and we're going to continue talking about this because it is an important thing, right? If there's an alien presence here in any capacity, isn't it nice to know? Wouldn't it be nice to know what our governments actually know about this stuff, okay? But what do you think, again, so the guy on the right, his name is Gary Reed. The guy on the left, if you're watching the thumbnail there, is Lou Elizondo. And they were at odds with each other. The guy on the left was heading up the UFO program at the Pentagon. The guy on the right was his boss, Gary Reed, and he was not allowing him information or allowing him basically space to do his job. And so Lou quit. So the question for you guys tonight is this. Regarding, again, this is, like I said, this is why we can't have nice things, but with people involved in like critical, let's say, information, which of course disclosure would be, in my opinion, critical information. It changes the paradigm of all life on Earth, right? But what about this? is this drama so pervasive in the government that, well, I'm not going to say it. Well, I'll say it. But do you think that we can trust anything they say regarding any form of disclosure? That's the question for tonight. And also, of course, we're taking speculation on what's actually out there. What are the lights in the skies, all the rest of this. What have you heard about this Gary Reed fellow? And what do you think about Lou Elizondo? There's a lot to this. That's what we're talking about tonight. And we'll start with Ash. We'll start the question. I'm going to pose those questions to you, my friend, including what else you got regarding all the rest of this stuff, the sex, lies, and UFOs, and this Gary Reed character. What do you know about this, my man?
Yeah, great job as always. Going through and kind of like summing it up. It's always impressive.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, disclosure, the most important thing ever, right? Are we alone in the universe? We're just on this small little planet, just screaming through space, in a dozen different sort of orbits at thousands of miles an hour. And, we're so focused on everything that happens on this planet that we haven't begun to kind of look around and see what's going on. So, hold on one second.
Please hold. Here we go. We're going to try this again. We're going to try and dial back.
I'm good. I'm back. I'm here.
All right.
Sorry about
Please
that.
hold. Please hold. Beep, 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 beep. Please hold. Go ahead.
Yeah. So the kind of the subject matter is disclosure and the kind of battle over it, right? And how it's going to be. Obviously, back in the 40s and the 50s, we've had all those kind of movies, and we have all these rumors of all this alien stuff and technology, Area 51, and all this kind of stuff going on, and it's been sort of kept secret ever since. So a lot of people have been sort of pessimistic about whether disclosure will ever even happen, right? So along comes this Louis Elizondo character, who is the head of that ATIP program, and he's sort of the main star of this story that's kind of unveiling, right? And we're keeping a pulse on what's going on with it, and if it's actually making progress. I'll say that Louis has been on a lot of podcasts, and my impression is he knows a lot more than he's allowed to say, and he hints at little things here and there, but yeah, we have a bunch of different videos and content and stuff tonight to kind of get into this drama, how he's been fighting for disclosure and who he's been fighting against. One of this is Gary Reed, head of all counterintelligence in the Department of Defense. Not someone you want to have an enemy of, right? And how this guy's kind of been in his way. And, to sum it up, as like a thesis statement, Elizondo, he's been working, he went to Congress, he tattletaled to Congress about this and provide briefings, and supposedly things have already kind of crossed that threshold where now it's time to clean up these departments, remove these people, and start having that conversation. And he has been on these podcasts. And I would very recommend look at the last week, search Elizondo, search by podcasts on YouTube, and have a listen. There's some really interesting stuff. We'll get into that tonight. We'll get into this drama, the progress, how it's going. And yeah, it's a pretty exciting time. I'm not going to lie. It's actually, there is actual progress, and it's measurable, and it's, the most fascinating thing ever. So, at least to me, I don't know. Maybe I just got a nerd boner for this. But yeah.
well, I mean, it does affect you directly once, like I said, Elon lands the rocket just outside your cave. Your world also changes. So as far as disclosure is concerned, I think
finally get off of here, man.
Right,
I'm stuck up here forever.
That the longest wait for an Uber ever, and we're waiting for Elon to get to Mars. Yeah. Okay. So and there is a lot of drama here, and it's not just. And the reason I don't talk about this type of stuff a lot is because you guys know me. In particular terms, I don't like to talk about people in that regard, because drama to me is drama, right? But in this case, the drama that has been happening inside the Pentagon with this disclosure effort is notable because we've talked in the past about some like a full group of people that are that have been sort of in the shadows for a long time, like working inside and also outside of the government in some like weird joint capacity known as the Collins Elite. If you remember that, we've talked about that on a show in the past. And the Collins Elite are a sort of an unofficial official group that's been working for disclosure, but not really disclosure. They think that the aliens are demons. And so in some manner there, they don't want any attention to this topic at all, because they think that the more people are, seeing lights in the sky and looking for them and spending their time talking about them like we do, that they're sort of lending to that idea of summoning things from the netherworld or what have you, that are bad compadres, right? That are just coming here to do demonic type stuff, right? And that's the Collins Elite, and they said to be operating inside and outside the government in some large capacity, pulling strings on this disclosure effort. All right. Now that's another interesting thing too. We could add that to the conversation as well. Do you think that aliens in this UFO lights in the sky capacity, do you think they are actually demons or something to this effect? Right, interdimensional beings. I see there's Slick Sticky in the chat. I think that's a good question. And Ash and I were talking about this last night a little bit as well, and this morning. You had a take on that. What do you think about this? We got about 2.5 minutes, but what do you think about the idea that the aliens are possibly demons or something to that effect? Do you think there's any merit to that?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, Mike. One of the frustrations I have about this subject is that you can't speak to anyone without it. As soon as you use the A word, aliens, it's almost like it's like the worst word you could possibly say. Go out into like a diner, start a conversation, and then bring up aliens and look at how everyone's faces. I mean, it's honestly really frustrating, and to be in this and to feel so passionate about it has been like nothing but a detriment for me personally. But if I were to say angels or demons, it's basically the same word, right? I could just swap it out. Everyone's cool with it. And I think that's something that really needs to change. Like entities, whatever we need to kind of put these stigmas behind us, put these narratives behind us. And Lewis talks about this too, and strip this all away and look at it what it is, right? Like a politician, are they demons? Or they just sucks like half the time, you know? You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, I think that there are all types. I think that our limited knowledge of reality is that very limited in that we can't really perceive as humans what's going on. It's almost awesome about being human. It's like we're kind of like small and we can't understand. We have our human experience. Ignorance is bliss, as they say. So who knows what layers operate on and where they operate, what those operate in, these guys, and what's even going on, right? But we need to be able to have these conversations, and it's important. It's mature. It's important. I mean, let's let's agree on some language. Let's disagree on language. It doesn't matter. Let's have these conversations. So I think that's what's important. And I want to hear what you guys think. Obviously, this show is for you guys, and call in, and we can talk about it. Disclosure. Do you think they're aliens? Do you think they're demons? I think yes and no. I think it's both. I think you can just turn the word off and on and describe it, and it's the same, right? So yeah, we'll get into some of that tonight. We'll get into that. We'll get into the drama. We'll get into the progress. We'll get into some of the guys in the know and whatever you guys want to talk about.
There it is. And as you know, right, I like to be on time, and what that means is it's about to be break time. So what we're doing tonight, we're here with my good friend Ash the Reptilian from Mars, and we're talking about this alien disclosure. We're talking about it from the government aspect, the drama with Lou Elizondo, Gary Reed, and the Pentagon. What do you think regarding aliens as demons or some other thing? I'm sure you have some thoughts on this. Do you think we'll ever get true disclosure, or do you think this is all just some pantomime? Well, I could say worse things and I'm not supposed to curse on the radio. But what are your thoughts? Love to hear what you think. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Ash the Reptilian from Mars. Don't go anywhere. More alien disclosure, government drama, and your calls when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange. I'm here tonight with my good friend Ash, the Reptilian from Mars, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. And tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we discuss this idea of disclosure. Alien disclosure. What does the government know about UFOs, about aliens? And what they do know, are we ever going to find out? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. And, yeah, let me smash the buttons and kill this music before it starts to get crazy, because it's about to get crazy. There we go. All right. Buttons, press the buttons. Okay, so what's up? Let's get the dial up. Earth to Mars. Are you there, Ash? Test 1, 2. Actually, you should have an echo. I'm going to kill that right now. There you go. All right. Yes. All the buttons in the right place at the right time. Earth to Mars. Are you there? Oops, maybe not. All right, let's go to what's up. We're talking about disclosure. We're talking about all the rest of this stuff. Are you there, Ash? Did you get bumped out? What's going on here?
I am here.
Okay, all right. Technical issues, man. Okay, all right. So welcome back. What's going on, man? So you think, okay, aliens as demons is a fascinating concept. What about this disclosure? We got a phone call we'll go to in just a sec, but what about disclosure? Do you think, given that the government and all their bumbling and all the drama and all the obfuscation of real information that they've been pretty much been keeping. I mean, you just look at WikiLeaks and you it's like face palm, you know. It's just like, really, like, just admit when you know how you get people to trust you? When you screw up, you admit it. It's not that hard. It's like a very simple concept. I blew it. Sorry, guys. I'll do better next time. I'll do my best to do better next time. It's easy. Like, it's an easy concept. And as long as it's, mostly authentic, you're fine. Because nobody's perfect and everybody understands that, especially when people are running things. But if the government, do you think, from your perspective, will ever actually get true disclosure from the government itself?
Well, that's actually a good point, Mike. I would like to play a clip. I'd like to phone a friend. Can we do that? Can we do that right now?
Let's hang on until after we get the phone call. Let's do that until after.
Okay.
Let's get your answer. We'll get the phone call, then we'll do that a little bit later.
All right, sounds good. Well, so I'll reference the clip. Basically, so again, the main character in this story, I guess, that's going on, and we'll keep bringing him up, is Luis Elizondo, the former head of ATIP. He has claimed that disclosure has already happened, based on UFOs in the news, in the New York Times article. Basically, we've kind of already said it without saying it, that there are these UFOs, these unidentified objects, that behave in a way that's not in our current inventory, not in any inventory on the government. So the only other option is some sort of extraterrestrial option. It's kind of already been put out there. A lot of people try and debunk it, but it has not been debunked. It's not been written off. It's not some sort of maybe it's the Chinese, maybe it's that's all debunked. It's pretty much what you think it would be, right? And this whole effort, as he's claimed, he's talked to Congress, he's briefed, and he's also mentioned that it's further than that. It's like there's more, but they can't talk about it and they can't show. And if you were briefed like congressmen were briefed, you wouldn't be like, maybe. No, you would be like, wow, right? So disclosure has already happened sort of behind the scenes, as Lewis has claimed, and that it's time to get it out and have conversation about it. That's what he's been working on. That's this whole story. That's why this Gary Reed thing is significant, of him trying to basically stop this effort. People in the DoD, the Pentagon, are stonewalling this effort. Maybe it's like old hat sort of programs and habits, but they're being systematically removed. Congress and people in power already have what they need, and they outnumber the people who don't. So it's gonna happen. It's, hopefully the next election isn't a complete crap show like it's been for the last 2 years, and it disrupts this cycle. That's like the worst thing that could possibly happen. But supposedly, as he said, it's already happened. It's just trying to get it out to the public and have that conversation. So, there's different layers of secrecy all the way down to the most secret. We've already gotten like pretty much halfway, and now we're trying to get this to the public. There's already been a lot of information that's been disseminated to the public, and it's time to keep pushing forward. And we have some interesting clips. If you're listening now, I have some really awesome clips I think you'll be really interested in checking out later. So tune in, stay tuned in. That's how you keep them in. But no, really, seriously, they're really awesome clips. We'll get into this drama of like why this guy's important, this Gary Reed, and removing it. But yeah, we're talking about disclosure tonight. So let's go to the caller and see what they have to say about this whole thing.
Let's do it. All right. So if you want to be part of the show tonight, do you think that we'll ever get true disclosure from the government? That's the question tonight. What about aliens as demons? What about all the rest of this? Love to hear your thoughts on what they may be, these lights in the sky. 702-957-1037. Click the Discord link at troubledminds.org. Let's go to Joseph in Iowa. Welcome to Troubled Minds, my friend. You're on with Mike and Ash. Go right ahead. How are you tonight?
Hey, I'm all right. I was thinking, like if we're like receivers, like Nicholas Tesla says, then I wonder if like alien is just like another, like it would be hard to distinguish like alien from demon, like if they were like energies, because we're receiving energy. And like, I mean, it wouldn't be hard. I think it would be instinct, but how could we trust our instinct at that point if it's alien or not,
Yeah, interesting. There was a quote I just saw recently regarding. I can't remember where it's from. It's in I put it in the Discord. I put it over this past weekend, and somebody had said it was like an old saint or somebody like this. It was from a long time ago, but said that they had spent some time with different entities that had visited them in this whole angel demon sort of situation, and he claimed that they I'll try and dig this out from the Discord and get you guys the real deets on this, but trust me, this is an accurate account, in that this old time saint said that it was difficult to tell between an angel and a demon in the moment of contact, but you would know the true actual let's say entity for what they were after they left and what your feelings were about the interaction. So I like how you put that in terms of like maybe it is our antenna that's sort of sniffing this stuff out, and maybe that's why it's maybe, who knows, maybe it's what brought the aliens here at all, if they're here at all. I don't know. It depends on what you believe, right? I think that this is a little bit crazy in all that regard, but yeah, fantastic thought, my friend. What else you got for us?
And I think maybe because it's so crazy, the government will be like, unless like everything's so crazy, like they have to make everything so crazy for like them people to believe, like, okay, this is really how crazy it is. Do you believe that? Because that's the actual what we think.
Yeah, so you're saying it could be even more wild than we ever dreamed about, and that's why the government doesn't want to tell us. They're like, well, we got bad news, Joseph and company. The Cthulhu's on the way, and he's bringing his armada of tentacled fiends, and they're going to devour the earth, or something like that, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, then everyone else would be trying to get them in the psych ward or whatever, like, for sure. Like, right, exactly.
Crazy stuff. What else you got, my friend? I got some questions for you if you don't, but I got what else you got?
Yeah, go ahead. that's all I really was saying.
Okay, fantastic take. So do you think the first question that regarding aliens or demons and angels? Do you think there is a difference, or do you think that gets conflated by us because of our sloppy labeling of the phenomenon as it's known?
I really don't know much about. Like, I didn't read much about. They say demons fall from the sky and stuff, right? And angels. So it just sounds like another name for alien. Like, I have a theory, right, that, like, people, like, I had a theory one time that Earth is like a place that no one knows about until they know about it, like a vacation, like an island, like a lost island vacation spot. Like, you go there, and I think I talked about this before, some people don't think it's a game, like, they get there and they're, like, almost like PTSD from their last, wherever, you know, they're, like this, or past timeline or whatever, that, like, but I think, I don't know. I honestly think it could be like you ever seen like Rick and Morty? I know you haven't seen Rick and Morty, but like people have. There's like blips and chips and like different worlds where like they turn like the entire realm into an arcade / like just not. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think that's in a way like how it's going.
Yeah, it's complicated.
Turning Earth into an arcade, exactly.
Yeah. I'm with you in that this world is probably a lot more odd than we give it credit for on sort of the normie basis, which is why we do this show. Like, I don't know what I believe, to be perfectly honest, but I do know that things don't seem to be as we're told. That's I think that's for sure. So what about this idea of government disclosure? Do you think that at some point the government will finally literally just say, all right, guys, this is the deal, and tell us something crazy? Or do you think this is going to be a cat and mouse game forever?
I think it is, yeah. I think they're going to play that, like Ash was talking about, like, or not, maybe not him, but like, I think he said this. He wasn't talking about it in this context, but like they'll say, like, there's more. You know, there's, like, I got something to show you. Just wait. You know, he didn't show it, like, and then bam, there you go. You're gonna have to wait.
Yeah, or the old.
It's really like a psychological game. Really, it's when you start playing that game. You know.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
Manipulative.
Yeah, exactly. It feels like they're messing with us, doesn't it? It's like, and again, to Lou Elizondo's credit, I don't know what you know about the guy, but he's the guy, again, that the former head of ATIP, the Advanced Aerospace Threat Identification Program, in the Pentagon, that supposedly tracked and cataloged and all the UFO stuff. And, you know, he feels from many of the things he's said and not said, kind of hinted at, that there's a presence here, that they're watching us, that there's, you know, like he's stopped short of saying aliens, but we know what ancient astronaut theorists say, so there's that. But the thing I do like about Lou Elizondo is that you know, he gets a lot of heat for a lot of different reasons, from me too, because it's difficult for him in the term of trying to tell us something when he can't tell us the full story. It's like well, I can only go so far, and he does a lot of that, and it's frustrating. And you're like, bro, just tell us about the aliens, man. Like, so, you know, like you really think you're going to go to jail if he spills the beans about aliens? I don't think he's going to jail, but you know, it's his NDA, and it's his life, and it's all the rest of that. But it is frustrating. But the thing I do like about him, let me add that real quick, is that he, just like you said, and just like Ash was saying, is that Lou encourages places like this, us talking with each other, because he says disclosure is also this process of us thinking about these things and talking about these concepts that people don't think about typically. So he gives a lot of credit to the community at large, and I like that about him. Sorry, go ahead. I cut you off.
Yeah, I wonder if that prolonging is like a symptom of like something in the past of someone actually seeing something and just not being able to explain it, you know, like just be like, I'm going to tell you, like, this is like I seen it, like, this is it. But I just can't. You have to, like someone just trying their hardest their entire life, and in probably generations of that, maybe, of them searching for something inside of us could be a product of that, you know?
Yeah, that's an interesting concept too. Maybe the thing we're searching for is not outside in the skies. Maybe whatever this is like, as you described when you from the beginning of your call. Maybe it is that Nikola Tesla antenna to the universe. Maybe what we need to be searching for is the inner search instead of the outer search. I love it. I love the thought, bro. We're running out of time here. Ash, you got anything for Joseph before he takes off?
Yeah, a lot of good points. Good stuff. I was actually taking notes. You were talking about using our instincts to navigate. How can we use our instincts to navigate what we don't even understand? We're out in left field. You know, it might just be a rock, but we think it's God. You know, I have friends who do drugs and have spiritual experiences, and they say they can't even translate it back to this realm, right? So how can we navigate these things? It's pretty insane, but you know, that's why disclosure is so important, for us to just kind of all be on the same page about what is real and what isn't, so that we can kind of take those steps, right? And not just have to speculate. I think you're right. I think this is just the beginning of a long conversation. Mike, you mentioned that too, and that, you know, we're going to have to figure it out, the language for everything and what everything's going to look like. Lewis talked about how writing, he wrote policy for messing with people. You guys were talking about messing with people and like how it feels like that. That's actually like they study sociology, and they have doctrine for how to mess with people and keep them confused and keep the truth obfuscated. So we are being messed with. There's no question about that. And then the last part about what you guys said was Lewis said humanity's reaction will be somber. I have that clip. We can if we get to it later, we'll play it. And that he's mentioned in the past that maybe we're not the top of the totem pole, and maybe there is a lot to digest, and that maybe there's probably a lot of malice or like negativity behind why they didn't handle this, but there also might be real good reasons. Like there's a lot to digest there, and the government doesn't know how to do that for us and how to even start that conversation, and they're scared that. You know, one of the top officials suggested that we are hybrids, reptilian hybrids. So if that is true, look at that's a whole show. That's a whole couple years of our lives. We gotta unpack that, right? So it's a lot, and this whole subject's crazy. And great call, good stuff. Thank you for calling in.
Good stuff, Joseph.
Appreciate it.
I appreciate it, my man. Anything real quick, and we got to move.
I had something, but no,
That's okay. You know where to find us in the third hour. We'll still be here. Joseph here, a good friend of mine, good friend of the shows. He's got a YouTube channel called Hydro Hose. Links in the description. Check it out. You're the best, Joseph. Thanks for the call. I appreciate it always, man. Have a great night.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. There you go. Easy as that. 702-957-1037. A good friend of ours, Joseph in Iowa, talking about alien disclosure, talking about the government, talking about, well, what we're talking about tonight. The few questions for us, right? There's a lot of things here on our plate because this is complicated. As always, right? When people are involved, it's always complicated. And I say this again, you know, Elon Musk and Twitter and all this political drama and stuff that's going on. I even said this too, just as an analogy for what we're talking about tonight, that Twitter fiasco that's going on. Elon has his hands full, right? Because they're going to have to really sort of find a way to draw lines where, you know, people aren't full on like Stalinists and full on like like Hitler Juniors, you know. And there's people out there that are like this, and there's people out there too. This is why we can't have nice things, guys, is because people think that stuff is edgy. They're like, oh, you know, I'm going to be a neo-Nazi today because I think it's edgy, and they're going to go on social media and say some dumb stuff that they don't believe, that they don't even believe. I'm not saying there aren't people that don't believe. There are people that believe that stuff. But like, there's this weird culture where people think talking about that stuff is edgy, and it's like, no, bro, that's not edgy. It's just dumb. It's just dumb, right? Like, there are some things that are just dumb, and when you get bigotry to the level of let's say mass murder, yeah, that's just dumb. That's just, I mean, that's just dumb.
Yeah,
beyond dumb. But anyway, just as a parallel to what's going on, like when people are involved, things become complicated. That was my point there.
No, true, and to kind of stay on that subject just for a second, and it parallels this as well, is that, you know, on the other end of the spectrum, Twitter was saying that, you know, this science was fact, and then later on the science changed, and so, you know, you could go to jail, you could get banned, you could get suspended, but then, like, you know, 6 months later, you do that exact same thing and it's fine now. So it's like, it's sort of similar with the government and disclosure and aliens. We're all sitting around waiting for the government to tell us yes or no, you know, and meanwhile we're sort of getting abused. We suffer for that, right? So it's sort of similar, and you know, I think there's just a lot of new stuff. We're just progressing so quickly, and we haven't like mentally and maturely caught up with all this stuff. And I think that we're doing that now, and it's a little bit of a messy process. I get baited sometimes in some comments. I see some hot takes, and I type responses and I delete it. You know, I get baited too, and especially some of the memes, man. But you know what? At the end of the day, we're all conscious beings. We all want to have a good time, and that should be the main focus. Like, as long as we are, you know. My quality of life, your quality of life should be a priority, and then we can go from there. And we shouldn't sacrifice that, right? For each other, for yourself, for everyone, for your friend, your mom, for your enemies. We should all kind of like love each other and be able to kind of navigate these things. And it's okay. These things are hard to navigate. It's okay. It's like, you know what I mean? Like our Tony Stark bought Twitter. Meanwhile, this guy's fighting for alien disclosure. Meanwhile, you know, we're fighting a war in Ukraine. Meanwhile, you know, like, it's a crazy world we live in. And we're you know, where do you dial in? Where do you figure stuff out? It's wild. It's great.
Yeah. Real quick too, Night Stalker in the chat says regarding that Twitter stuff, he says they're just going to throw a bunch of sex predators on Twitter and force him to keep censorship rules, right? And I think that's part of this too. That like there are actual you know, quote activist groups that do stuff like this, and it's like, yes, really, this is where we're at. Like we're literally posing as just a horrific, like, bottom of the barrel, like, humanity on social media because, one, it might be edgy, two, because we have a political goal in mind, and whatever that is, it's a more or less censorship, right, or whatever, right? Like, it doesn't matter what side you're on. I think all the sides are garbage, but the point is
they do that on Reddit.
Yeah, hell
they
yeah,
did it on Reddit.
Hell yes,
they would go into Reddit groups and they post all this edgelord crazy stuff, and then they would get the Reddit banned. It's like, yeah, that happened 100%. It happened like 2 or 3 times. I watched it happen in real time too. And people, and like the admins were frantically trying to remove those people, get rid of stuff, and they couldn't. they couldn't do it fast enough, right? It's like impossible. So yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
No,
you're good. You're good.
That's a good point.
We'll get back to that in just a sec. We're out of time here. So what we're going to do is take a break, and we're here with my good friend Ash, the Reptilian from Mars, and we're talking about my favorite topic of disclosure. Disclosure. This is one of the ones that's it's important. If this is real, and we're like, hey, the aliens are here, this is important. We should at least think about it, all right? But the question becomes, what do we get from the government? Love to hear your thoughts on this. Angels, demons, devils, aliens, this, that, the other thing, interdimensional machine elves. What are your thoughts? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Ash the Reptilian from Mars. Don't go anywhere. More disclosure and your calls when we return. Be right back. we are talking about the alien abduction phenomenon. Aliens.
The aliens are looking through your eyes and they're accessing your optic nerve. I'm doing fantastic. And through that optic nerve, they're transferring to your brain. People are random images as they traverse neurons in the brain.
So all right. So maybe,
and they also feel them planting or receiving memories or ideas or images.
Broadcasting live from a secret bunker just off the extraterrestrial highway. Somewhere in the desert sands outside of Las Vegas. From somewhere in space-time, loosely labeled Generation X on planet Earth. And asking questions of you in earnest into the digital darkness.
good evening and welcome to Troubled Minds Radio. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and tonight we're here with my good friend Ash, the reptilian from Mars, and we'd like to say hello to all of you who may also have troubled minds. What's going on, guys? It is Wednesday night, which is one of the nights we get together and talk about all the things we're not allowed to talk about. You know what those things are. We do it Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday at 7 p.m. Pacific, and those things are aliens, conspiracy, the paranormal, the government, academia, the 24-hour news cycle, propaganda, and the general feeling that we live in the upside down. As always, we do this live to include you, and we're taking your phone calls. If you want to give us a ring here, a jingle, let your fingers do the walking. You remember that old commercial? I'm showing my age, a little bit of gray hair going on. That's all right. I'll survive, at least in the short term. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter. And, of course, we're broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. We're here again, like I said, with Ash, and we're talking about this idea of government disclosure. There's been a lot of drama recently with the Lou Elizondo stuff and ATIP, if you guys have been paying any attention to ufology and this whole sort of government disclosure effort and process. And it's complicated, as always, right? Everything that people are involved in is pretty complicated. And I think that's worthy of a discussion here. It's weird, right? It's sort of like in alien terms, you can look at the movie Signs. You guys ever seen that? M. Night Shyamalan. It's got Joaquin Phoenix. It's got Mel Gibson in it. It's pretty strange if you've never seen it. It's a movie about how people are complicated. It's a movie about faith. It's a movie about what do you believe, if things are meant to be or if things are just random accidents. And it's also a movie about aliens, right? And you would expect like a movie about aliens to be more about aliens, but it was more about those other things than the aliens themselves. It's like a sort of the aliens on the human psyche. Again, the structure of belief, and is there a God? And I mean, that was an incredible movie to me, but I think it's a great parallel to actual disclosure itself in those terms of, what do we believe? And so anyway, love to hear your thoughts on this. We got Robert online. We'll go to him in just a sec. 702-957-1037. Ash, Earth to Mars. Are you there? Beep, beep, beep. 1, 2, test. Copy, 1, 1.
I'm here. What's up, humans? How you guys doing?
No screech. No. We don't do the screech on demand anymore. What, Ash? I don't even know you anymore. That's okay.
That's racist, man. That's
save it for later. That's the reptilian screech.
I can't even draw a parallel without it sounding horrible. So just so you.
All right.
So
all right.
yeah.
All right, fair enough. This is tell them about your YouTube channel real quick, and then we'll hop on the call here.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Ash. I'm the reptilian from Mars. Check out my YouTube channel where you can see me in my reptilian form. Yes, that's right. You can see me in my green scaly form. Talk about all kinds of crazy stuff, conspiracies, aliens, conspiracies and aliens and conspiracies. So, we talk about the pyramids of Giza's, remote viewing, telepathy, all kinds of stuff, and try and bring it all together and trying to make sense of what's going on here and try and peel back some of the layers of reality and take a look. So if you're interested in all that, if you're interested in this conversation, subscribe to my channel. I really appreciate it. It's slowly growing. You get a lot of engagement on the channel. It's really surprising. People love making reptilian jokes too. It's great. So I also do live streams, and you can come and interact with me directly. And we just have a good time. One time we shopped for a vacuum cleaner wife replacement, and we did that for like 15 minutes. That was pretty fun. So we do all kinds of crazy stuff over there. I am a reptilian from Mars, so that is the baseline. So you can only imagine. And it's a pleasure being here. I miss you guys, and I'm glad. I appreciate. Thank you. This is an opportunity for me to talk about this stuff with people who are interested in this. And if you are the kind of person who's interested, please call in. We want to hear what you have to say. I have a lot of respect for you. And thanks for tuning in.
There we go. Night Stalker says alien conspiracies or conspiraliens. There it is. 702-957-1037. Let's go to Robert in Pennsylvania. Thanks for being patient, my friend. Welcome to Troubled Minds. Go right ahead.
To get all your spring cleaning done, Mike.
I did. Oh my gosh, man. Like, even out here in the desert, like, stuff just grows, man. those inconsiderate plants just get out of control over the wintertime. It drives me nuts. But yeah, close enough, man. Close enough. I appreciate you asking. I'm exhausted because I've been doing like triple duty for like a week now. And I'm just like, ugh. But yeah, I'll survive. Everything will be okay. Being tired is not the end of the world. Thank you for asking.
I had getting dirty looks from the wife, because the grass was getting too long. All right.
See?
And our neighbors had already mowed theirs.
See?
Right?
You feel me then?
It was like 36 degrees here, and I'm getting the lawnmower out, and I'm trying to start it up, and it's like saying, are you got to be kidding me? The lawnmower team would be saying to me, 36 degrees, I ain't doing shit.
No, yeah, exactly. Yeah, same.
Anyway, well, I got it done.
All good. So what are your thoughts on this disclosure stuff and this drama with the government, the officials? Go right ahead. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that there's going to be disclosure. You can feel it in the air. There's too many things that are unraveling. All right, it's not like it was, when Clinton was president and he ordered investigation of Roswell, and they came up with this dumb mannequin parachute thing. All right, this is really, once they crossed that bridge, crossed that line, and admitted that these things exist, all right, it's only a matter of time where it all has to come out.
Oops, I muted myself.
Point.
Go ahead, Ash. You got a take on that?
Can you hear me? Can you actually hear me?
Yeah, he can hear you.
Oh,
yes.
Okay. Yeah. I noticed, like, in a lot of podcasts and stuff, a lot of I like scientific stuff. They're talking about UFOs because some of them are salivating at the chops to be like the first person. Like, it's basically like the pinnacle of science, right? To mess with this stuff. So it kind of gave the scientific community a little permission to kind of like dig into this, which is exactly what I think they want, right? And I think we've kind of past this critical threshold, and it's just taking time for kind of people to realize it. And it's I think it's pretty exciting. So I agree with you, man. Godspeed.
Go right ahead, Robert.
Yeah, but every time I hear Ash, all right. The reptilian from Mars, I always think of that Puff the Magic Dragon song for some reason about the green scales falling like rain and him sadly going back into his cave. You know that song?
Yeah, that does happen. I do sadly go back into my cave. It's I've been up here for a long time, and I'm not gonna lie, I think I'm losing my mind. So there's not a lot up here except for the Jeff Bezos death camps. So. it's not so great on Mars. So hopefully we can kind of get this conversation going. You guys can make like Elon Musk can invent a Twitter mobile and come Uber me back to your planet, and I can probe you guys all you want.
And that brings me to why I made this call. There's some clues that are under our noses that we're really not paying attention to. Let's start with Elon's going to send a research team, make a colony on Mars, and it's a one-way trip. That's the opening part of what I'm about to say. All right. Who's to say that? I'm saying that maybe these aren't aliens, and frankly, the government disclosure is not saying they are either. All right. Maybe they're a colony that came from Mars, and millions of years ago, as a research team, and they continue to, and either they're immortals, or the generations that come after just took up the research and continued research. It was a one-way trip because Mars destroyed itself while they were gone. All right, which may happen when Elon Musk gets that colony on Mars. Earth might destroy itself. It seems like it's getting close to it anyway, with the Russians even daring to talk about using nuclear weapons. Anyway, but what I've noticed when it comes to abductees, when they describe the interior of these UFOs, it's all sparse. There's no furniture. There's no seats. There's no amenities at all on these craft. All right, like I said earlier in my comments, I wonder where they go to poop, and if they do. All right, because there certainly doesn't seem to be any bathrooms there either. All right, so what that tells me is that these UFOs are only good for short trips. All right, they're not meant for long range. So let's say they may have that these pilots, these researchers, have underground dwellings under the ocean, even on the moon. And when they do their research for the day, that's where they go off to for whatever other business they have to take care of. And maybe they are the original humans.
Yeah, it could be. What's up? Danny in the chat says, what if aliens don't go potty? And that's a good question. Add that to the mix.
Well,
I certainly do.
Well, I noticed that the alien that's in the picture there on your podcast there seems to have a behind.
Yeah, that's intentional, by the way. That's more showing his alien ass at the ineptitude of the government. That was what I was going for. But yes, there's definitely an alien behind there. You are correct, sir.
Let's see. Was there ever?
No, that's actually a good point, though, about them probably. We think that they're coming from here and there. Well, maybe one time they did. It could have been thousands of years ago, right? It could have been 1,000,000 years ago, for all we know.
Millions, but millions of years. They could have been the first advanced civilization on the Earth.
Right, and that would mean that
when they were originally a research team, and if Musk gets that research colony on Mars, that'll also grow in the same kind of way. Because they'll be doing research to create fauna, even animals, with DNA things that they work with and things like up there, to try to make Mars more inhabitable and self-sustaining. But they're stuck there.
Yeah, I think that the picture is vast and complicated and has lots of players and it's all kinds of stuff. And I don't think it's as simple as green men from Mars, right? I think you're right. And I don't know about you. I'm ready to kind of start having that conversation, right? And hopefully that's what we can kind of crack open over the next Oh, God, I don't know how long it's going to take. Right?
Weeks or months or years. What's your take on that? On the government and disclosure? Go ahead, Robert. Sorry.
I think they're going to have to disclose, because I think that the World Economic Council, which is responsible for the Great Reset, has to do it. I think that that everybody that attends that Economic Council is somehow under the employment or the influence of the characters that are running these UFOs. And I think they've known that that's been going on for centuries, where they pick their people that they're going to work with to make things happen here on this world. Just like maybe they picked Moses back in the old days, the Bible, Ezekiel, all that sort of stuff. That they've been doing that, and only a select group of people is in on really what they are. All right, and it's in their best interest to keep that secret until these, I'm going to just call them aliens for the simplification, even though I don't think they are. Tell them it's time to change the course of things, and that means that we have to come out, and this has to, because they're the ones that will take global control. It's not Klaus. Was it Klaus? What's his name?
Klaus Schwab. Klaus Schwab. The World Economic Forum. Yep. That's the guy. You will own nothing, and you will be happy.
It's not him that's going to. Yeah, he's not going to be the one to, and those billionaires are not going to be the one to control the globe. It's the ones that are behind in the shadows. The ones that put them there in the first place. And I think it's the ones that are piloting these UFOs. I think they've been around for millions of years, and they're ready now to make this great reset happen. And that means that in order for them to take control of that, they have to be disclosed. They have to come forward. That information has to be told, so that we can understand. What would your reaction be? What would the global population's reaction be? If disclosure of who these are, all right, and it turned out that they've been around for millions of years, and that their intent is to make the planet better, everybody's lives better, but they must be put into control. What would be what would be the attitude? What would be how would we think as a global citizenry? How would we think? Would we welcome that, or would we resist it?
Well, we would have to. Things would have to. The worse things are for us now, the worse things get, the more we're willing to accept, right? That third party, and I think you're onto something, man.
Because things are getting worse than they've ever been since the Great Depression.
Right.
All this is being done deliberately.
Right.
It feels like it.
I mean, there's a deliberate effort to break the whole system up into pieces.
Yep, I think.
I see your point, Ash. In order for them to do that, we have to be so desperate that we're willing to applaud some, just like we applaud Christ coming down from the clouds, the opportunity to have these aliens. I'm just using that, like I said, just for simplification. Come forward and say, we have the solution. We're going to make your lives better. And we're going to be in charge in order to do that.
Right. No, I think you're onto something.
And the World Economic Council, is preparing to bring this disclosure on. They're probably the ones that really have ordered, the amount of disclosure that already has happened. All right, it's a gradual process that will finally come to fruition when all hell breaks loose. Absolute hell breaks loose globally. When we have a global depression, which is coming, Bitcoin is going to go down to zero. Sorry, Mike.
Tears, emoji tears. Fine.
Well, you know what's funny is
nobody's gonna have as much.
You mentioned that the World Economic Forum could be influenced by extraterrestrials, and look, they dress like they are.
They do.
You ever seen Klaus Schwab's?
Yeah, what is that?
He dresses exactly like how you hear some aliens dress, dude. He dresses like a weirdo.
And look what's happening. Look what's happening all across our country. All these food processing plants are suddenly busting out in fire. They're, being destroyed by fire. I'm not talking about one or two. I'm talking about more than a dozen. I mean, more than half a dozen in the last couple of weeks. And then two of the food processing plants had planes crash into them. And, of course, they erupted in flames from that. Something's going on here. And I'm not usually somebody that, that gets all fluttery, conspiracy type thing. I'm just not the type. But there's so many things going on that are just out of the ordinary, all right, that is causing the conditions for life on Earth to get harsher and harsher and harsher. That you got to see there's something going on. This is being deliberately done, and for a purpose.
I think so.
Like you said, Ash, but it's the only way that they can get the majority of the billions of people on this planet to accept world government through these beings that may have been here for billions of years.
Hey, man, brother, we're running out of time. We got to go. You're the best. I appreciate the phone call, Joseph. Always not Joseph, Robert. Appreciate it, Robert. Always a pleasure, man. Have a fantastic night. Thanks for listening. Thanks for the call.
You can call me Joseph Robert. You can call me Slim. You can call me Art Garfunkel.
All right. I'm going to call you Al. I'm going to call you Al.
I'm going to call you Papa.
I'm going to call you Al. All right. Hey, look, Robert here has a book called Stories from a Fractured Mind. He's an author. It's called The Robert Collection. Links in the description. He sent me a couple copies, full disclosure. I read it. It's a great, fantastic book. I would actually fancy him a mix between Rod Serling and Philip K. Dick. Check it out. Thanks for the phone call. Jennifer, I see you there. Sorry for the long wait. I didn't want to cut you short and go to a break, so we'll come to you as soon as we come back from the break. But we got about 30 seconds. Go ahead, Ash. What's your take on that? Let's get the hell out of here for a break and come back to Jennifer. Roll it. 30 seconds. Go.
No, great call. Honestly, I've had some of those ideas too. So it's like some of those ingredients. So it's good to see another person's soup and look like, yeah, good stuff. I agree, man. A lot of those things. I actually have a theory that we're alien hybrids, and that certain ones get a little bit more alien than others, and those are the ones that they choose to lead the people. Right. So yeah, good freaking call. Smart people listening.
There you go. Appreciate it, Robert. Thank you, Ash. This is Troubled Minds. I'm Michael Strange. We're here with Ash the Reptilian from Mars. We're talking about disclosure tonight. Do you think we'll get it from the government? What do you think about aliens, demons, angels, machine elves? What the hell is really going on in this reality we live in? 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds, Ash and Jennifer in Missouri when we return. Be right back. Welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter, and we are broadcasting live on the Fringe FM. Tonight, we're taking your phone calls as we talk about disclosure. Government disclosure here with Ash the Reptilian from Mars. What do you think this is? Do you think this is, again, a government pulling our chain, trying to just kick the can down the road and use whatever means necessary for control? Or do you think actually this Lou Elizondo stuff and this Pentagon business going on, the drama happening with Gary Reed and all the rest, if you guys have been paying attention? If you haven't been, we'll fill you in on the details as we go. We got a long show and lots of time to talk about this stuff. Love to hear your thoughts at 702-957-1037. 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We'll put you on the show. It's as easy as that. Let's go to Ash, the reptilian, then we'll go to Jennifer. Ash, beep, beep. Are you there? Test 1, 2.
Oh, I'm here, baby.
Beep, beep.
I'm ready.
All right, ready and willing. Check, locked and loaded. 702-957-1037. Jennifer, Missouri. Thanks for being patient. Go right ahead. You're on Troubled Minds. How are you tonight?
Hello, Mike.
Good evening.
Nash.
Good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. Yeah. Hey. Yeah. So, disclosure itself. When I think about it, it looks to me like, if you're looking at the picture, if we just imagine right now, like, what kind of world we're living in and how we got here. And if you think about, it's never seen in any other species that you have one group of perhaps, I don't know, maybe such a small, minute portion of the entire population controlling the entire species. The entire species being controlled by one group. And the idea of the New World Order is in place, I assume. If you look at it and imagine every single human that we're aware of, unless there is some kind of breakaway civilization, which is a whole different topic, but the world we live in and all of the people on the entire planet being controlled by one group, by one sector of government and what government does and how it operates. And some people now, you have to really think about it because some people are for it and they believe they have faith in this government. They think that it's taking us all in the right direction. Now, there are some, and myself included, who disagree with that because I believe that the individual should have sovereignty. And a sovereignty that only answers to the service of those that they know. That's what I think to myself when I think about this. And when I think about the system we have now in place, and that it's a hive mind, and it's only built, the whole design of the entire machine is servitude. It's just servitude to the system. And it's to elevate some above others. It completely disgraces the idea of the individual truth, that your life is one life. Every individual has one existence that we are conscious of. And the fact that some have decided that they will rule over it, that in and of itself is a type of disclosure, in my opinion, because throughout history, you've had talk through petroglyphs, through pictographs, through everything, papyrus and scrolls and text and oral history and all these stories about these invisible beings, that there are invisible beings that are managing the system and deciding fate for every species and for the entirety for existence itself, in a way. And these invisible forces supposedly lay all of the groundwork for how reality turns out. They are shaping reality. The government, to be in the position that it's in itself, must be cooperative with some of those beings, or they could not exist. It could not operate the way that it does. We're aware that there is a hidden world. Science talks about the hidden world all the time. Spirituality talks about it, and we know it's there, that there's something that's moving everything the way that it's going. When you think about that, and you think about how they will disclose for the side that they are operating with. If there is a hidden world, then that is the disclosure. The disclosure will describe what they are, who and whom or what they are operating with. And anything that they come out with their disclosure, almost guaranteed, if it does not speak out to the sovereignty of the individual and once again recognize the truth of the individual's right as an animal, as a creature, as a being, to have its own, to be in control of its own existence. If it does not profess that, then it is a lie. Then it is some type of malevolent force, the same we've been dealing with throughout the entirety of humanity, where it's been a struggle continuously between something thinking that it should control everything else and put it below its boot. And I don't care if you believe that the government is for the well-being of humanity. I think it's important for the individual to decide for themselves. If they ever do come out with disclosure, they need to look at what's being said and dissect it and see if does it give allowance once again, to the sovereignty of the individual.
Yeah.
I think
that's great.
Fantastic. Brilliant as always. I got something to shoehorn in here real quick. That quote I was looking for earlier, check this out, Jennifer. This fits into exactly what you're saying. I was looking for St. Anthony said he sometimes encountered devils who looked like angels and other times angels who looked like devils. When asked how he could tell the difference, he said that you can only tell which is which by the way you feel after the creature has left your company. Special shout out to James for digging that out for me. I appreciate that. That I was fumbling for earlier. But like you're saying, it's not even necessarily about little green men anymore. It's about disclosure of control of the boot on your neck. And if literally this is what we're dealing with in terms of we don't know what's what in, let's say, the dualism of, which we'll talk about tomorrow night, the dualism of the good versus evil paradigm of, mythologies that, as far back as human thinking goes. This is weird, isn't it? This is super weird. Like, what's real anymore? I think that becomes the question. Like, what do you believe as an individual? Yeah. I'm with you, 100%.
Yeah, because, you can have that these beings are the same. Maybe they're the same created species. There's no doubt about that. Or maybe they're different species and they all display different traits, kind of like we do, and versus a dolphin perhaps or something to that effect. But what we can say is you have all humanity is supposedly in the image of its creator, but you can tell that we're all different, and so whatever they display, it's not so much what they look like or anything like that, because supposedly they're invisible anyway, and they're just projecting something into your head or something. But if it's about how you would feel, and it's about what the effect is, what the effect of them having intermingled into your life, that will tell the truth. And if we continue on this same strand where we're just all being deduced down to we're just in service, not to our own world, not to our own families or friends, but to them, to something far, far away that it's benefiting very well from us all doing what it wants. And that's been the truth forever. And if they did disclose too, they would have to say that not only do they have something that they're working with that is agreeing with what they are doing, but there might be something that's opposing it as well. There might be some other force that opposes the entrapment, the enslavement of a species, and decides to make it work for itself, as this has been forever now, And we never notice the slavery that we're all in. We don't notice it because it's been there forever, forever and ever. And we can't even fathom anymore what it would be like if something wasn't ruling over you. It's unbelievable, really. But yeah, and it's good to mention that perhaps if they did disclose, which I wish they would, so that we could get a really clear picture. I don't think we necessarily I mean, I think a lot of people want it. That's the other thing, too. They're playing off of that people want it so bad. They want to know, like, what's out there? You know, what's doing all this? Or what's behind this? But if it comes out, if they decide that they're going to be the ones that are going to tell us, it's going to be for their own benefit, or it's there to destroy them. So, what happens? You know.
Well, you make a good point. It's like, you know, look at the Ukrainian situation with Russia and all that stuff, and it's like, can you honestly say, you know, you really know what's even really going on over there? Who really is the good guys? Who's the bad guys? Who's doing this? Who's starting it? Who? You know, it's tough, and you know, the media, all this kind of, they just want you to kind of
design. They tell you,
right?
Yeah, it's part of the design. Unless you were there, you cannot possibly know, right? I mean, the ones who are there experiencing it, they know, and it applies to them. And they're saying on a world scope, it applies to us too. It's going to filter through and affect us as well. So we'll tell you what's happening over there. But it's like, we can't see. And
that's simple.
But I mean,
that's simple human stuff, too. Right? That's simple human stuff, and we can't even sort that out. So can you imagine, like you mentioned, like invisible beings, entities, all the different layers? Maybe there's beings underneath them, and then they're interacting with our leaders, and then they're having interaction, and then there's leaders below them, and this and that. You're right. Whatever we get is only going to be just through a small keyhole of what's really going on, and so how can we really know what kind of situation we're really in? Is it a good one? Is it a bad one? Are they good? Are they bad? Get out of it entirely is ideal, right? Yeah.
I mean, to get out of it entirely, to see your own, what's happening in your own street, what's happening in your own world. That's all we're supposed to be dealing with. This is too much. That's why people are collapsing and why they can't live, why they can't handle it. Because all you're meant to handle as a creature is what's happening in your vicinity, your vicinity of your existence. That's what you're in charge of. Not something that's happening thousands and thousands of miles away that has nothing to do with you. Nothing.
Right.
Unless you're a world government who needs to keep a track and pulse on that all the time. But it doesn't make any sense. As a species, as a creature, we can't handle it. The individual can. Because they're designed to just handle the people that they come in contact with in their day-to-day existence. That's it. You're not supposed to be trying to reach across the ocean and decide the fate of millions and billions of individuals. That makes no sense. And nothing does that. No species on the planet does it. None.
No. And again,
have one facet controlling the vast masses. It's unbelievable.
Back to that concept of living in the upside down, right? The inverted pyramid and that whole bit, right? It's like what the hell's going on here? Like literally, we've been indoctrinated to believe all of these things, and all of these things are probably not even true. So we're like, here we are, Jennifer, by dark of night, whispering in the digital darkness. Yeah,
that's crazy.
Yeah, brilliant stuff as always. I appreciate the phone call. You're the best. Jennifer here has a YouTube channel. You can tell, a brilliant young lady. Check it out. Links in the description. Thanks, Jennifer. Always a pleasure. Have a fantastic night. Thanks for the call.
Have a good night.
Thanks, you too. There you go. Simple as that. 702-957-1037. I say simple as that. And Jay Wench in the chat is like, I never try and call in after Jennifer. Because she's a hard act to follow for sure. But I mean, but please, again, not just Jennifer, please give her a follow on her YouTube channel. Ash here as well. They're spending their time with us and sharing wisdom and knowledge and different takes and ideas. And that's what this is all about. This is about people coming together and talking. And again, this is what we're told is not the way to do things. Because of course, right, if we do this in sort of this, chill kind of peaceful manner and just hang out and discuss ideas, the fear is from those elites, from again the disclosure of power, like Jennifer was describing there, is that we as individuals will learn that we have more in common than our differences, and the powers that be don't want us to know that, because that inverted pyramid does not invert anymore. Yeah, wild stuff. Fantastic as always, Jennifer. Good call. Ash, take on that. Holy crapperoni, right?
Good stuff. It's almost kind of like swallowing the medicine, right? You swallow. Is it even the right medicine? Are you taking even the right pill? It's like disclosure. We're going to open that can of worms, and it's right. She's right. How can we possibly expect, with all these limitations of who we are and what we have access to and how we're governed and how we operate as a society, that we can digest that in a proper way? At some point we just gotta have faith that that at least more information is better than less information, I guess, is kind of like my only idea. Like, once, let's say, okay, and I've struggled with this as well. Like, what if this is what the bad ETs want, right? And then boom, New World Order, alien Jesus, all this kind of stuff, and very valid. And maybe the good guys have been keeping it secret for this very reason, because they're scared of losing control of it. Or maybe when disclosure happens, it kicks off galactic law and allows X, Y, and Z, and then our patriots or whoever is good loses control, right? But that's kind of like the problem we're in, is like, I'm just speculating, just like you are, about any of this. And I feel like, more information is good information. So, if we find out it's there are aliens and there's Bleeblop 5, then we can cross-reference that with history. Like, okay, let's say reptilians are real, and I know I'm the reptilian from Mars, and like, based on my research, it's pretty definitive. But we'll wait and see. Maybe I'm wrong. But let's say reptilians are real. You can go back to the Sumerian tablets and see that Enki was a lizard being. He was basically a reptilian in so many words, and that he had engineered humanity by splicing some of their genes into us. Now that adds some credibility to that. Now, can we ask, hey, Reptoid 45, like, what's all this about, right? So I think the fact that it's been secret has served these beings somehow, right? Whether I don't think it's just a legal thing. I think it has served them, and I think they have manipulated us in the past. We've had callers talking about that left and right about that, and we all kind of suspect that they're there, that there's something there, right? Influencing humanity, steering us, pushing agendas, and I think honestly, I really believe this. Disclose, like, whatever, like, you go on any YouTube channel, you go on any news station, you talk to any friend, you investigate any, I think it's all crap. I think everything that humans have to deal with, I think it's all meaningless. I think disclosure is the most important thing. I think that's where all of our efforts should go, of getting that information out. I think that there are humans on this planet that have a lot of that information, and I think that once we crack that open, it's like, we're all walking around believing Santa Claus is still real. I think that's that level of ignorance that we have. And I think that disclosure can serve us, that having access to the information. And I believe in people. I think we'll figure it out. I think people are smart, just based on the callers that are here. Like, the audience, you guys, the commenters, you guys are really smart. We can figure stuff out. We just need more information, right? And so that's what I believe. I really believe in it. Honestly, if I didn't, I wouldn't do it anymore, because there's so much negativity associated with it. They've been really successful, and I almost believe they've implanted it in us to not look up, not to think that way. I mean, I've gotten such visceral reactions from it, but I think I really do think it's important. Personally, it's been a sacrifice for me, but I'll continue to do it. I think that the subject matter is about Luis Elizondo and his sacrifice, and his battle with this guy who made his life a living hell over this whole subject. I have a lot of respect for him. I don't know if he's in service to the good guys or the bad guys, but my gut is that disclosure is the path is the right path. So anyway, that's for me. What do I know? What do I know?
Hey,
what do you know, Mike?
Hey, you're
know
one.
Stuff?
No, you're one consciousness, and that's an important thing. Just like Jennifer was saying, the sovereignty of the individual is probably the most important thing. And I agree 100%. Like she is spot on in that groove of things, because that's what I've always been saying. Me personally, I believe that as well. Because look, what good is being an individual with your own consciousness if we're all just some Borg hive mind, like ruled by Twitter social justice warriors? And you know what I mean? Like that. No offense to that. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. I'm just saying that, like, once everybody's canceled because you're off the party line, that, well, what are we anymore? Well, that's exactly what we're the Borg. It's embarrassing, and like we're all smarter than that. As you said, Ash, and I agree with you 100%. Night after night after night, we get callers on this show that blow my mind, and that's what this is about. It's about talking to each other. Real quick, couple things on Twitter just to round this out and finish this up. Ash is back to loud. Is that true? All right, I'll fix that. So check this out. Elon Musk tweeted 2 hours ago. Next, I'm buying Coca-Cola to put the cocaine back in. This guy.
Oh my God, he's got my full support. He's got my full support. Maybe I think he's got an AI, and it's like, you know what I mean? He's like, what should I type now to trick the humans? You know, like
exactly.
I shall counter support. They love Coke.
Yeah, exactly. All right, one more thing real quick on Twitter, just because we talked about Twitter earlier on. Also, ubermensch.edu, Hunter RedX on Twitter. It's Armando of the Ubermensch show. He's been on this show before. Good friend of mine. Friend of the shows, he said this, right? No matter what I believe and want to be real, I'll always lean towards reality and truth. No matter how many times my hopes and desires are shattered, I will never abandon common sense and sane thinking, even if it means losing all my beliefs and what I hope to be true and real. And I said this, and I just want to make sure this rounds all this out, I think probably perfectly. I said, all that said, we need not stop dreaming. We can have both if we allow room for it. And there we go. I think that sets us up perfectly for an outro. Tell us about your show real quick, Ash. We got about 30 seconds. Go.
Hi, guys. I'm Ash, the Reptilian from Mars. If you like this kind of conversation, this crazy stuff, if you like lizard scales, if you're into tails, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Please, I got a few subscribers tonight. I check it, and I read every single name. Some of your names are hilarious. And, it brings a lot of joy to me. So I appreciate you subscribing to my channel, checking out my content. And this is kind of stuff we talk about over there. I do live streams. We have a good time. Appreciate you listening. Like I said in the beginning, a lot of respect for you listening to this kind of stuff. Don't let them think you're crazy.
And
you're the genius.
There you go. And his link's in the description down below, also on the podcast feed and everywhere else. Check out Ash the Reptilian. Thanks for being here with us. So this is the way it goes, right? The bad news is we're done. The good news is, God willing, we have tomorrow. If you're listening to us on the Fringe FM, stay tuned for Joe Roop Lighting the Void. If you're listening to us on any other platform, including the podcast feed, stay tuned for Third Hour Troubled Minds, and be sure, be strong, be true. Thank you for listening. From our troubled minds to yours, have a great night. All right. Hey, what's up? We're still doing this. We got a third hour coming up, which means we're still taking your phone calls. We're discussing this idea of disclosure. We'll get into this Gary Reed guy and the rest of this stuff. Again, like I think the craziest part about these discussions is we talk philosophy here most times on this show, and sort of drama between like people at the Pentagon is like, fuck that. It's like what? I mean, it's hard enough being human and not being able to read each other's minds, and all these bizarre assumptions and all the rest of this shit. Hey, we're just human. We're trying to figure this shit out too. And
think for yourself.
Right? Yeah, right, exactly. But the least interesting part about human relations to me is the drama. It's the least interesting. It's just like, hey, why? Like, why? Well, what about the larger concepts? What about, again, like Jennifer said, disclosure of power, disclosure of, well, sovereignty over the individual, breaking that paradigm, right? And that's disclosure. Hey, look, this is why we talk about this in the forum we do, because this show is open-ended, non-linear. We'll take it wherever you want. We're still here with Ash, still taking your calls. One more hour of Troubled Minds, commercial-free, 702-957-1037. That's 702-957-1037. We got James of Salcedo Paranormal. We got the Night Stalker coming up. Still here with Ash. Don't go anywhere. More Troubled Minds. 2-minute break. Grab yourself a drink. Put the kids to bed. Do what you got to do. Light up your smoke. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. 2-minute break. Be right back. All right, welcome back to Troubled Minds. I'm your host, Michael Strange, and we are streaming on Rockfin, YouTube, and Twitter. We are now off the Fringe FM, and the reason I put the time clock up is we're here with Ash the Reptilian from Mars, of course. The reason I put the time clock up now is I want you guys to see that it's an art. It's an art. When the time ticks and the time ticks and the time ticks and you get down to like exactly the second when you're supposed to get off the radio to the second and you time it perfectly. It's so hot. It's so hot. It's skills.
Is that what gets the rocks off?
It's fucking skills. It is skills, I tell you what. Like try and do it yourself and curb yourself to what your thoughts and your kind of rambles and like trim them to like a perfect radio time. Well, hey, it's skill. It's a lot of practice. It's a lot of practice. And I take pride.
I don't do as good as you, Mike, but I can do it a little bit. It's
you're getting there. You're this is why like James too. Like people that have been on this show quite often. Like that's why I tell them we got a minute and a half, whatever. Because then they like when you've done this a lot, you start to go, oh, okay, I can trim this down to about a minute and a half, and then you go right. I mean, admit it, Ash. You know this is true. I'm twisting your arm here, but like in those moments, it's like sometimes you need to be verbose and like gobble some time and give your full thoughts, and sometimes you need to be brief. And well, if it doesn't help like your overall communication skills in life, I don't know what the fuck does. Right. I mean, this is as good as anything.
No, that's true. Yeah, you'll be like, you know what? I'm gonna dump all this crap because I can't fill that in. You want to say it, you know, and that's actually a problem I had when we first when we were co-hosting a lot. Is I had hello.
I'm here.
There you go. Okay,
here.
We're good.
I got you, buddy.
I would have so much to say, and we wouldn't get through it, and I wouldn't know how to articulate all of it and put it all together, and then you sound like you're like that conspiracy theory meme where you have the board and you have like what I'm talking about, the Charlie from It's Always Sunny. He's got the board and he's like frantically explaining something, and there's like like the murder mystery. There's like a pin from here to there to there to there, and you're trying to explain it, and you just go in circles and you sound like a crazy person. But this show's really helped me articulate things and kind of get to the core, get to the point, and communicate better for sure. Yeah, and then you're a pro at it. You've been doing it for so long. You can do it while you're in your sleep, which you practically are right now, aren't you? Like,
I just woke up. That's for fucking sure. Sorry. Enough bragging about us and the skills you develop. But okay, but this is the thing, right? The like Apoc said in the chat, and she's completely right, that you got to watch these Elon Musk memes because they're posting shit that's fake, right? But here's the actual tweet itself, and I'll link it in the chat. And 2 hours ago, he himself actually tweeted, "You got it. Next time buying Coca-Cola to put the cocaine back in." He fucking did it, and I've got the link to prove it. Like,
no, that's true. I see tweets and I'm like, I don't know if that's real anymore. Like it's like so ridiculous.
Sometimes. Yeah, people are like just constantly faking
one?
shit.
What the hell?
Yeah, just constantly.
I still don't believe that really happened. Did that really happen?
I'm not even sure. Yeah, crazy stuff. Anyway, just point being, I just wanted to point out that this, he actually tweeted that, and that's super fucking awesome. And I'm voting for Elon. I'm voting for the Elon. All right, let's go to James in Michigan.
Have you ridden a Tesla, dude? Have you ridden a Tesla? I
haven't. You told me about that experience.
I just rode in the newest one, and you ride in it, and it's like, you're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. Like you do that every like 5 minutes. You're like, oh yeah, that definitely makes sense.
Super
and then you're
intuitive.
Like, so okay, I'll give you an example. So there's like a big screen in the middle. You know, like the fans that come out. You can actually like you click on the fan, and it shows a graphic, and you move your finger on the pad, and it moves where the fan is blowing in real time. That's just like one example. Or if you reach for the handle, it'll automatically like open. Or if you don't have to slam the doors, you just close it and it locks itself in, so you never have to slam the doors. It's just like there's like 100 things like that, and you realize how like a lot of these industries don't innovate anymore. It's just kind of like, they get lobbyists, they just sit around and it's the same crap for like decades. So anyway, left to right. Hate him, love him, whatever. You got to give respect where it's due.
I agree.
Pretty cool, man.
I agree. And I've seen people say things to the effect, real quick, just on Elon. We'll go to James. Sorry, James.
James.
They've said, has anything Elon ever said come true? You're fucking right. It has. Are you kidding me? Like, pay attention. Like again, like the righties are like, oh, we love this guy because he's like a capitalist, and the lefties are like, they should be like, we love this guy because he's making the first electric car that's going to be mass scaled and save the planet for that the carbon and all the Greta shit, right? And no offense, there's nuance there. I'm not saying it's not real. I'm just saying that like. So why doesn't everybody love this guy? Well, because some people think he's the Antichrist. That's why. But anyway, James in Michigan, thanks for being patient with us. Go right ahead. You're on Troubled Minds with Mike and Ash. Salcedo Paranormal, what's up, brother? How are you?
Dang it, Mike.
Yeah, right. That's okay.
But actually, no, just love the show. Great calls and great topic.
Thank you. What are your thoughts,
man?
James knows a lot about this stuff, by the way, the alien disclosure and whatnot, because he's we've talked about this. James and I, we're bros, and he's like, hey, I used to listen to podcasts and shit, and he didn't say that. Expletives are mine, and he said that I used to think it was just entertainment, and now that like I'm doing podcasts a lot, I'm on Troubled Minds. I got my own podcast, which is called Salcedo Paranormal, which you all should follow. Links in the description down below. But he's like, now it's like all that time I spent entertaining myself is now like market research. So he knows a lot about Lou Elizondo and this Gary Reed stuff and disclosure. Go right ahead, James. What are your thoughts, my friend?
Yeah, I follow this stuff as much as I can when I have time. I don't get to follow it as much as I used to because, doing a podcast, that eats up some time. Just in case anyone didn't know that. A lot of you do that because you call into these shows and you know us and everything, but that does take a lot of time. But so I follow all the stuff, a lot of it through Twitter, but I follow a lot of it just because I am interested in it. I don't expect a lot out of it because it feels like there is just constant arguing among almost everybody. And not a lot of, let's say, moving forward with everything. I don't know. I have mixed feelings about it, but that doesn't mean that I think that people should not be interested in it or that, it shouldn't be followed or looked into. But that's kind of my take on it, although I feel like if most of the sides or groups or whatever do come together on one idea, basic idea, and start sharing that, I'm going to be, again, interested in it and wondering about it, but I'm going to be skeptical as well, because it seems like argument is easy for a lot of these groups. But for when they all get together, I feel like that would mean that's something that took a while to happen. That's hard. especially these days. It seems like.
Yeah, like here we are.
What's going to be the thing that what is the reason for and this hasn't happened yet that I've seen, but what would be the reason for them, uniting and putting out one basic story? And again, that's where the conspiracy part, I think, can definitely come in.
Not only that, it's like the unicorn. It's like wait, so if people unite, right? Like let's say the political elite unite and the press unite, right? Like they're not going to do it for us. They're all going to come together in the moment. They'll be like, oh, this is what we got to do to fuck those guys, the useless eaters, right? The plebs, all the rest of that, right? That's how this world is set up. Again, like Jennifer was saying, and like I added to that, the inverted pyramid. It's like we're expected to believe that all of this is held up by a select few. In regard to like billions of the population, which makes no damn sense. It doesn't make any sense. And again, that's the whole upside down world. And you're right. You're right. I am going to be super skeptical. I think George Carlin said this, which is super funny, right? When it's a bipartisan agreement, you need to be extra careful because then it means a larger than usual deception is going on. Something to that effect with George Carlin. He said something I almost got the quote right. It was real close, but he's kind of right. It's like when they both agree, yeah, we need to do this to like take away rights and freedom and power from the people. They all agree on it, and it's like we're just here just useless eaters with our inflation and our rent prices and our real estate going up. And hey, you know what? But by the way, and listen, don't read into this too much because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, especially myself, because they'll come kick my door in. But my dog will bark like crazy if they do. But hey, we've got a barking dog and Mike in jail. But remember what happened in the French Revolution? I'm just saying, at some point, well,
guillotines.
You're right. At some point, the elites are outnumbered by quite a lot. So, what do you know, James, about this whole? What's your take on Lou Elizondo, and what is your take on disclosure?
Yeah, Elizondo in a way is more interesting than I would say a lot of the people in this whole UFO world in a way, because he came, from what I've seen, he came kind of out of nowhere into all these public spaces to talk about this, and try to steer the things in a direction, but also, like you said earlier, he's been telling people to, that they don't have to believe him. That they should look into things on their own. And that is one thing I definitely agree with. I feel like, for me, a lot of focus has shifted away from, or shifted towards the government side of things, which is okay. Like I said, I have no problem with that being there. But it's shifted away from the experiencers. A lot of the focus on a lot of these podcasts, a lot of these social networks, it has shifted away from the people over decades that have had experiences. And to me, those experiences are more interesting than any document from any office, because the people had them. They're from people, and especially when you get to ones where it was more than one person experiencing it. I find that a lot more useful than most documents, partly just because, again, we talk about government, but there's a lot of people in government, and so there's a lot of sides and a lot of factions in government. So that there's groups that are going to want certain things hidden. So it's really hard for me to get into any kind of government documents when who knows what is being hidden or who knows what is being pushed on us for reasons other than actual disclosure.
Exactly. Ash, what you got on that?
Yeah, I agree. I think that, we have this one of the main things one of the things I looked into was the Dr. David Jacobs stuff, and that's with the abductions and all this kind of stuff. But beyond that, just general experiences, right, with the phenomenon. And there was a narrative there. There was like information, and that's what we would say deeper. I'm doing air quotes into the crazy, right? And so now that the conversation has kind of been like Luis Elizondo, UFOs, the conversation has kind of been winded all the way back to there, right? And it's like I think it's good in a sense that it's kind of like it is frustrating to wind the conversation all the way back to there when, you know, we're already at like hybrids and like all this kind of crazy stuff that's going on. And we've talked about that in the past. Apparently I sounded so crazy that you guys clipped it and added some weirdo music to it. And that's part of the intro now. But and I listened to it and the way it's edited, and I'm like, okay, I do sound a little nuts, but I still believe all that stuff that's in there. And there's like telepathy, mind control, hybridization, different alien beings, gray biorobots. I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot to get through. It's a lot to go through. And for me personally, waiting for the conversation to start getting over there again is it can be a bit frustrating. I think you're right. I feel you've been researching it and stuff, and the disclosure process is slow, man. It's been really slow, but I will say there has been success. It's been slow, but there has been success about it. It's taken years to kind of make these micro successions. And sometimes it's so slow, you can't even see it moving, you know? And so I'm a little optimistic, but at any point, the train could stop. It's true. And that's where the train stops for a long time. But I think there are some seeds that have been planted and that they're going to grow and they're going to mature. And I don't think the world will ever be the same already. So hopefully we'll keep moving that gambit. Hopefully we can get back to those experiencers and those people who've had those experiences. You know, I believe them, and they went through that, and our government kind of abandoned them. You know, and people like it's not their fault they went through that, right? So yeah, I totally agree with everything you said.
Go ahead,
yeah, and I would just add to that. I do agree that that's important. I just feel like it's all important. So I think there's plenty of room for all of that, but also I lost my point here. But yeah, no, the experience thing, I feel like that's also been used by certain groups as well. I think there needs to be. I think that was what I wanted to get to. I think there needs to be more focus on the experiences, and maybe not so much on all the researchers. And there needs to be more cooperation among all the researchers, as much as possible, anyway. Because again, that's a whole other set of drama that I've seen over the years. It's just different people, and I'm not even naming any one person because I've seen this with several over the years. But they either get set in one narrative, which again, there seem to be a couple of them. There's either the all aliens are dangerous or all aliens are peaceful. I don't think it's that simple. So I think there needs to be just more focus on collecting all of these accounts from people that have had experiences, and then analyzing them and seeing what patterns show up. Because if you just look through enough stories, you'll see patterns. You'll start to see them. And that's just something overall that I think can be looked at, maybe not scientifically in that there may not be proof in the way some scientists want of these experiences, but there's still numbers. You can still look at the numbers of all these people, myself included, that have had experiences, and try to figure out and try to look into which ones may be misidentifications, which ones may be hoaxes, but still being respectful towards everyone that's had an experience, at least until you can prove that they are mistaken or that they're actively trying to trick anyone. And so, but I think that compassion is definitely, it's hit or miss, it seems like, in a lot of places.
Yeah, like playing whack-a-mole a little bit, right? And I think that's like I always say, like I do my best. Like I'm not perfect, but I do my best to punch up and not punch down, right? It's like, look, people spend their time here and they want to have an interesting and intelligent conversation. Like, there's no reason to crap on people that call into this show. There's no reason to crap on people that will, sort of want to talk about the things you want to talk about. Like I always say, we have way more in common than our differences, but that's not what they want to tell us. And in those terms, right, if you flip it and kind of go deeper into that a little bit, it seems like you said, the parables, the mythologies, the fables, right? It almost seems like the cheat code in life, of all life, is passed down through folklore and mythology. It's like that's the cheat code. The cheat code is that there's like this backbone of the matrix running that allows us to see what's really happening between the controller, and the masses that are, right? And this has been happening for a long time. And so if that's the cheat code, if mythology and all the rest of this Aesop's fables and all this stuff is actually just the cheat codes of like this Joseph Campbell type sort of circular situation, then we're missing the forest for the trees, because we're watching news cycles and watching fucking CNN and Fox News and shit like this, and we're not tuned in to what the ancients already knew. It's almost like passing these stories down for generations. They were trying to tell us something. And then here we are, right? We're all fucking knuckleheads anymore. Not us here, but like literally in terms of the entire planet. And look, just by the way, I'm not like I said, I'm not perfect. I can be a pretentious asshole, but I try very much not to be. And I don't mean that we're smarter than anybody else. I mean that we're having a different level of discussion than most people. That's all I mean. It's not about smart. It's about willing. It's about understanding. It's about accepting, right? There's a whole sort of next level of discussion when you allow it to happen. You just have to allow it to happen, right? But anyway, so I don't know. I spun myself in like 32 circles, 6 ways from Sunday. But Ash on that, and then back to James, and then let's get to the Night Stalker.
Yeah, it's like it's like we're in a matrix, and that, like you said, there's you look at old religious texts, you look at stuff that's passed down, and there's information, there's like nuggets, there's truth, right? And you can kind of feel it, but you can't see it, and you can't touch it, can't eat it, can't smell it, right? But you can feel it, that there's truth there. And I've seen it, man. I've seen in my life people who get woo-woo and believe in stuff and then become millionaires, or do this or do that. And I've manifested myself, and I know, that there's something there. I've done remote viewing on accident. I've done it really well, like right off the bat, and it scared me. And knowing that there's something more, just to everything, not just what we're talking about, disclosure, aliens, these experiences, and we limit ourselves on the conversations we're having. Not us right now. Obviously, we're talking about all kinds of crazy shit, which is great. It's fun. It's honestly, it's really relieving for me. But you go and you have these superficial conversations. What's the weather and this and that, and we just limit ourselves. And as limitless beings with souls, with we're. I believe that we're fucking in some random ass video game, and we're all players, and we can kind of do whatever the fuck we want. But your will is equal to your power is equal to mine. So, together we can do stuff and this and that. And we get hints that the elites and certain people know it, and they're in positions of power because they know these truths. And in my life, the difference between a rich man and a poor man is just knowing things. And that doesn't necessarily mean like money's everything, but I'm just saying like, and I've seen rich people, I know rich people who are missing things in their life that poor people have. And they have that in abundance. And rich people are just throwing money in the hole trying to find it, and they never do. And yeah, it's an interesting game we're all playing, and we're playing together, and we have to kind of be open-minded and have these crazy conversations. And you know, James, you mentioned you have experiences. I believe you, man. And like, I hope enough people have said that to you to, you know, to feel good about it. And like, shit happens to all of us, stuff happens, and it's like, we need to be all on the same team. We need to have these mature conversations. So I appreciate you being here, and I appreciate you sharing your wisdom. And Mike, yeah, you can't be a pretentious asshole.
No, I can be.
I'm just joking, man.
Hey, man.
I just want to add a little.
Hey, Ash and I, like, look, when you spend as much time together as Ash and I have, kind of behind the scenes, putting shows together, and like, again, like we're different, and that's a good thing. Difference is a good thing, right? But there's friction there. There's always friction, and that's the point, right? It's like, look, are you able to get past whatever like petty differences and friction there may be between different personalities? Right? Or are you not? Right? And to think about like what a beautiful thing can happen if you can just get past just some minor thing. It's minor. Shit is minor. Look, I'm an egomaniac. You guys all know my ego is the size of the solar system. However, right? Wait, was it the sun? In any case, it doesn't matter because James, go right ahead.
Mike, I was generally joking. I didn't. No. Anything in mind or anything like that.
But it's real. But real, and there's real talk, and like there's never been like real friction between Ash and myself ever, like real. Because we're like, you know, we respect each other a lot, and we're like, yeah, you know, like it's like, nah, I kind of don't want to do that. He's like, I kind of don't want to do that, and that's the way things go. That's the way people communicate with each other. And I just wanted to throw that in there as being part of real. And James knows too. I've worked a lot with him. But I'm not trying to make this about me. I'm just saying that like people communicate, and if you can get past those certain points of pettiness, look what a beautiful thing happens. I never dreamed Troubled Minds would be this. And holy shit, it's this now. Right? It's not. This is not like $1 million machine a year or anything, right? It's like successful in that it's in the black, but like it is far more successful than that in the zeitgeist, in our minds, in our conversations, in the fact that true diversity actually means something, and that's what this is about. Go ahead, James. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I think really it is the in communication but also compassion and being open-minded. Those are definitely important and things that are missing in a lot of places around the world, both in a lot of governments and also though in a lot of fields, maybe even in some cases in the discussion of UFOs in some cases. So Amen. It does seem like there's a lot of drama that seems similar when you look from one group to another.
Amen to that. Amen to that. James, stay right there, James. We got Night Stalker on deck. He's been waiting a while. James here, good friend of mine, good friend of ours. He's got a podcast called Salcedo Paranormal. Check it out. Links in the description. Give him a follow. He does paranormal stuff 5 nights a week at 5 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 p.m. Pacific, and you can actually join him on his Discord as well. So please give him a follow. Links in the description down below. And you're the best, James. You're the best, James.
Just real quick.
Sure.
8 p.m. Eastern, 5 Pacific.
Is that what I said?
No, but that's okay. There was one more little point I wanted to bring up. That quote that you read earlier.
Sure.
I think you read it.
I did.
About being able to know what. Or not being able to tell what you're dealing with until after, basing on what you feel. I think feelings, too, and these experiences, they are, and I've said this before, I think they're really important. And I think those even more than, words are necessary, names are necessary, but those feelings, even more than just the words that we use to describe whatever we're experiencing, those are important as to whether or not to be okay with those experiences.
Perfect. And by the way, special thanks to James for dropping that quote back to me. He dug it out of the Discord, of which when you're doing a live show, it's difficult to go back and like find things because you're trying to talk and do 10 things at the same time and read the chat. But James dug this out, and this is it. And we'll go to Night Stalker. This is for you, Night Stalker. Listen to this. St. Anthony said he sometimes encountered devils who looked like angels, and other times angels who look like devils. When asked how he could tell the difference, he said that you can only tell which is which by the way you feel after the creature has left your company. Derek in Massachusetts, the Night Stalker. Welcome to Troubled Minds. What's up, brother? How are you?
Here you. What's going on, you guys? Great show.
Thank you. Chilling. Doing our thing, man. What are your thoughts on all this crazy shit?
Oh, man. I don't know. Where do you want to go first? I don't have much on Elizondo. I mean, like, we talked about my thoughts on the UFO mainstream. I don't know. I feel like just the conversation they're having, as you guys are saying about just like we have to broaden the conversation. I feel like the conversation that he's having is just so unbelievably limited. Like, so just like fighting about, like we've said it a million times. Like, I just don't understand how they can have a show on that every single day or week or whatever it is. Like, what are they talking about for years and years and years? Like, how are they able to not be bored with just the bickering about whether the government's going to do this or do that or do I don't know. Just the nuts and bolts aspect of UFOs to me is the most boring part of UFOs. Let alone just the government connection to the nuts and bolts part. I feel like you're just limiting yourself so much, and then like. So, I don't know. And then just the conspiracy theorist angle in me is just like, whatever the government says anyways, nobody's going to believe it. Like, we might have moved past the idea of some type of mass disclosure of any type of idea, like whether it's aliens or anything. Like, I'm not going to say the buzzword, but just look at the past 2 years. Like, we still don't know what the hell is real or not real about what's been going on. Like, the idea of just the collective coming to any type of consensus right now might be a losing battle in and of itself. So it's just the idea might be just to have conversation like this and just to try to move the thought, just try to move the zeitgeist, move the ideas through these crazy conversations and stuff, and just try to expose ourselves to new ideas, because the ideas we're being given are just, in my opinion, like not ones that are going to stretch our brain in any capacity, you know? And like, as far as what would disclosure look like if they gave it to us, I don't know. There's a classic, like the Reagan thing that people always bring up about maybe they'll use some type of threat to unify us, or there's the opposite, or maybe they'll use some type of like Ash said, some type of like alien Jesus figure, some type of alien savior, where they cure our energy crisis with free energy type stuff, or they cure the climate crisis, or all that kind of stuff. And any of that stuff, people aren't going to believe it. Like what, like. They can see, people will watch videos of the president shaking an alien's hand, or people will, if let's say New York City blows up and they say aliens did it, the internet is just not going to believe it. They'll say the government did it. They say it didn't happen. They say it's fake. Like, I don't know. So just battling about disclosure, I feel like, is just not a winning battle. Like, I'm not sure. We can talk about what aliens are if you guys want. What do you think about that first?
That's a good point you made, that like people are more skeptical than ever. You know, there's been like all kinds of stuff that's been happening over the last 5-6 years, and like the conspiracy theory angle is like the first thing that people take, and it's valid, man. People are abused, man. They don't, you know, it's like we're in a toxic relationship. We don't trust our partner anymore. We don't trust our government. So. That's actually kind of a good thing, right? Like, you know, we don't just take things hook, line, and sinker. Where I think like our parents and our grandparents did, and no blame on them. They didn't really have access to too many information resources anyway. Yeah. But yeah, that's a good point. Exactly. Yeah. And the disclosure conversation is boring. You're right. Yeah. It's like
I mean, like them telling us aliens exist would obviously be a huge deal. But just like when it comes down to it, the idea of fighting over it as much as it gets fought over, and what the UFO mainstream or whatever you want to consider it, UFO Twitter, I just feel is like not productive in any way. Because it's just like when something does happen, people just aren't going to believe it in the first place. But obviously,
you're talking about you're talking about our community, basically. Like,
yeah, I don't consider myself to be part of the UFO. I think I'm in like the fringy communities. I consider to be UFO Twitter to be like its own collective group that's all like adjacent amongst like I'm in the greater fringe community. I mean, like,
but you're saying like civilians like that community is always bickering and fighting anyway. Like, and they're all supposed to be on the same team and they can't even get it together.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the UFO casemakers, like the Corbells and the Stephen Greers and the Elizondos and those type of people, I feel like are trying, from my conspiracy-minded brain, are trying to funnel the conversation, funnel all these great minds who want to have these conversations because they're cool and they're thought-provoking. They're there to funnel those conversations to the direction that the powers that be want them to be in. So they don't want them to talk about if aliens are demons. They don't want them talking about the metaphysical aspects of the phenomena. They want them to talk about the craft. What's the craft doing? Is the craft a threat? What's the government going to say about the craft? Is the government going to do this and this and this? And it's just like, I don't know, is that the conversation we want to have? I'm not sure. I don't know. I'm more interested in, I don't know, people summoning aliens and channeling alien beings and the government being controlled by entities that, I don't know. The weird stuff is more of my angle. And just the fact that they avoid the weird stuff so much when I know that like they're into it. Just, I'm not sure. I know Corbell's into it. We won't talk about it. And Greer was the government guy. And now we know he's into this stuff. Elizondo is in the intelligence, and the intelligence loves the weird stuff. He's just not talking about it yet, but he's dropping his little.
Yeah, he used to be a remote viewer. And then he's like, I don't want to talk about that.
Yeah, he's wearing these occult symbols on his clothes and stuff, and it's just, I mean, like, I don't know. I just don't trust these guys. That's my opinion basically on it. Just, I don't trust them.
I like Lewis, but I 100% agree. And Mike mentioned this. He's not saying everything. It's obvious, and he's not pretending like he's not hiding stuff, right? He's like, I can't say that, can't say this, but it's like, what is behind that door with these guys? Like, how much do they believe? I mean,
exactly.
Like, do they really meet with aliens, and do they do weird alien sex orgies, like
alien sex rituals?
Like, man,
we just
they getting on that some reptilian. Like some reptilian action or like hybrids, and like that's the thing we don't know. And I agree. It's like, and talking about the weird stuff, me, man, I love the weird stuff. I wanted to do a whole episode on telepathy, and I think we did. And it's like, just fucking how that works. Is it mechanical? Is it spiritual? And I agree. And it's like, again, and I've said this a couple times, and because I've experienced it recently. If I try to talk to a normal person about anything at all related to this stuff, it's so far back that it's like it's not even worth having the conversation. And that's been the frustrating thing for me. It's like trying to
I think the conversation that I'm so frustrated by, as far as like just the mainstream conversation, like the mainstream UFO conversation, is frustrating to us because we're deeper down the rabbit hole than that. But like, I guess from some perspective, it's just not for us. It's for the people who don't believe in it. It's for the ones who require some type of like CNN or Fox News telling them to do it on TV for them to even consider it. Like, so I guess in that aspect, it's doing something. But I just don't. I feel like it's I don't know, not very. I feel like with the what we talk about on a nightly basis is doing more for like the zeitgeist than what the people who get paid millions of dollars to talk about UFOs on TV are doing, honestly. But do you want to go in the alien demon thing for a second, or the weird stuff for a little bit?
Right. Let's hear it. What about those alien
baby?
demons?
Let's take us away.
Totally.
So the alien. I feel like when I bumped up against the alien demon thing a lot, like a couple of years ago, it felt more like it was like some pastor yelling about how aliens are a giant deception for Satan's minions and stuff. And like, while that's possible, I don't necessarily think that that's what it is, and that's not what I say when I mean what I mean when I say demons. I'm more so using the term demons just because it's provocative and it like makes people like kind of flinch a little bit when people think about alien demon things. But more so just the idea that aliens aren't. The phenomena is much, much weirder than what we're traditionally like exposed to. There's a lot of strange metaphysical, occult aspects that are tied to it that we've talked about on the show a million times. So I'm more so trying to get kind of Ash's takes on it and stuff. But as far as like what they could possibly be, I mean, the interdimensional thing is one thing, but that could be from other realms, other like kind of like planes of existence, other like frequencies, other like frequencies on the electromagnetic spectrum that we just can't see, like infrared, that type of stuff, just other things that are kind of always around us, but just outside of our perception, like ultra terrestrial type stuff. It could be things like they're like, I don't like to cancel out anything. So when people say aliens are demons, I'm not sure I agree with that, because I think there could be stuff from space, but also stuff from some hellish realm, and also stuff from another dimension, and also stuff that lives within electricity, and also stuff that like time travels around, and also stuff that yada yada, you know? So I just wanted to say that as far as like the alien demon
Marvel
type
universe. There's always another bad guy.
Exactly.
Another higher plane to go. Yeah.
Like I'm most interested in like figuring out the maps, like the anthropology, like the what's like how these things are kind of all connected, rather than like what ancient aliens did best is like try to kind of make the parallels between these mythologies and how they could be tied to the alien phenomena today. But it kind of made it so it seemed like all these demon stories or all these angel stories are actually talking about aliens. Or you get the vice versa, where all these alien stories are actually talking about demons and stuff. And it just, what if it's all true? What if there is stuff from space? What if there is stuff that is working for a Satan in some type of hellish realm? Right. What if there is just stuff from other realms, other dimensions that are neutral? What if there's stuff from like other frequencies that are just all around us, but we aren't privy to until we like shift our perspective with hallucinogens or whatever? And what if, like, I don't know, what if there's Gordon White said something like 8 years ago, and it kind of like really made me think. It was like what if there, just for conversation's sake, there's another like alien species on another planet that's like very similar to us, or just the idea that space is infinite. So kind of anything you can think of is probably happening out there, just under the concept of infinity. So take another kind of like humanoid alien species, and they're kind of moving at a trajectory technology-wise that we are, but they come into contact with like, or they dabble with like seances, they dabble with like occult stuff, where they come into contact with the other side, with like the dead. Like they can contact ghosts like much better than we can. And what if they form some type of technology involved with like speaking to ghosts and stuff, the way Tesla was, or Edison was, or all these like visionaries were trying to do back in the day, and somebody cracked the code for it. And what if you take that civilization and fast forward them 100 years, or 1,000 years, or 1,000,000 years? So 1,000,000 years of this technological civilization advancing hand in hand, learning about the other side, with the other side, being able to communicate to the other realms. What type of technology or what type of society would that look like? We can't even, I don't even think, visualize what that would look like. Would they move beyond the physical body? Would they, what would they be dabbling with, and what would that look like when they try to interact with us, you know? And then, like, it's just really trippy. And then the idea of, like, Bailey talks about that AI is probably, like, demonic. So people talk about how aliens could possibly be AI. Like, the Greys are biological AI. And it's just, if AI is a demon and these aliens are AI, then aliens could be demons in that sense, you know? And then how Crowley was doing his rituals and summoned a gray alien. So what's that in that case, you know? And it's just, I'm not sure if we talked about this around Ash, but the idea of the Council of Nine and like that seance in like 1952 of these like military elite and like the DuPonts and Puriak, which is like the person who discovered Uri Geller like 20 years later, but did this like seance in Maine and like contacted these people who call themselves the Nine, who claim to be like the Egyptian Ennead, like the Greek Ennead, these pantheon of gods who communicate and have kind of been running humanity throughout the entire history of humankind. And like these are beings, they aren't like physical beings. They channel through humans, and then at some point they claim to be from Sirius or whatever. But that channeling session kept going on throughout the 50s and stuff, and then Gene Roddenberry got mixed in, got involved with it, started meeting with these psychics and doing these seances, and also channeling, not himself, but at these seances, contacting the Nine, and used that information to make Star Trek. And in Star Trek, the entire idea of the Galactic Federation, which is a major pillar of how we visualize space and aliens. So that whole Galactic Federation motif was given to us ipso facto from some type of channeling session in a seance by these metaphysical beings that claim to be from space, but who the hell knows? So that whole idea of just like, who's really telling us what these things are, where are our ideas really coming from, like, how messy, how weird could it possibly be? And just like, I don't know, the weirder it goes, the more you like try to stretch your brain out with the possibilities of it, there's the more like the craziest stuff that like that's more of what I like than like fighting about whether the government will or will not do whatever bullshit they're trying to do. Sorry, I'm out of breath. That's a lot.
You're good. Go ahead, Ash.
No, it's good, man. It's tough. You go to work, you drive to the gas station, you get a cup of coffee, and you're sitting there in your car, and you're getting ready to turn it on, and you look at your cup of coffee, and then you wonder, what the fuck even is this?
All that shit.
Have you ever had that thought? You're like, I'm fucking, I have to poop. I'm drinking this coffee, which makes me poop, and it's like, yeah, okay, cool, that's what I see and I feel, but what the fuck am I in? Like, and the fact that people don't have that thought enough, it drives me crazy. It's like, what am I fucking in? Like, I touch the steering wheel and I'm like, what the fuck even is this? And it's like, if I do a lot of entrepreneurial endeavors, competitive things. And the first thing I do whenever I get into anything is I go look at the best and I figure out what's the best shit to do. What is the meta? What is this thing? And then kind of go from there. And you can't really do that with life. And it's like beautiful and it's frustrating all at the same time, And so you get these whiffs, you get these hints of like more. And it's beyond honestly, it's just beyond human comprehension, right? And so, just like abductions, I'll just go a little bit there. It seems as if these beings are artificial. They've created themselves. They've their ships, their tools are all AI. They're all conscious and they think, and they're all connected in some hive mind. And they just come in through portals of some sort of fucking who knows from where and how, and they grab you and they pull you through the walls and they talk to you through using telepathy, which might be at a soul level. And what the fuck is a soul? And I get it, man. It's like just any one of those things. It's just insane. And just like we were talking about with James, it's frustrating to not even have those conversations. And I feel like the only mainstream way to seek these questions and these answers is through religion and through comic book stories kind of stuff. And that's kind of it. Those are the only two places you can kind of get your rocks off with this kind of stuff in the mainstream. But we have hints of those things. There are people who are having these experiences. Think about this. If let's say you take 3 days a week and you meet a whole bunch of abductees and you go and sit outside their house for a week for each one. And you just go and you do that. You do that for 10 years. Don't you think some shit's going to happen? And you're going to have your answer?
That's the question. What if something happens? What if you do wait and then the next morning they're like, did you see it? Did you see it? And you're like, no, I didn't see it. And he says, what do you mean? It must be something where you can't see it when it comes and stops time and just picks me up, and you can't see it. And there's always a loophole. And it just, when we get into the reality, it's like you said, what are we even in? And it's just just the physical world around us is just, it's just seemingly some type of, not a projection, but just rendering from our mind that is taking in information and using that information to give us the reality that we're walking around in. And it's just one when something shifts, that's like during that process of like taking information, filtering it, and then giving us the reality, something can get in there and tweak it and show you something, turn your reality into whatever it wants. And that's like this trickster thing that we could be working with. Whereas like we might not even be trust the experiences. I mean, people are having an experience, but who's to say like they're actually seeing these physical aliens the way they are or not? That's one of the big things about the ancient alien things. It's like how the trope, how the phenomena, there are the abductee phenomena seems to have a lot of similarities between like fairy abductions and the different types of abductions throughout time. So it's like in that capacity, the phenomena does seem to change based on the perspective of the person who's being abducted. Like it takes the shape of the time period that it's in, or it takes the shape of like just ahead of the time period it's in, so to be like sort of recognizable but still sort of foreign at the same time and stuff. So there's an element of mind at play. So it's like, is the reason why it's just in shows like this, the ideas are just in comics, like you said, is because it's trying to like, part of it is in the shaping of the ideas. It requires like the receiver, the person who's having the experience, to have a certain frame of reference or a certain image in their head to be able to like, I don't know. It seems like something's trying to shape the culture as part of the phenomena, you know?
Yes. Real quick on that. So like you said, if you go back, let's say the 1300s in England or something, right? You're like, oh, it's fairies, right? It's the fae folk.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? What about now, though? Now nobody's talking about fairies at all, right? We do from time to time, the fae folk and whatnot. What's up? Shout out to Jennifer, the Sealy and the Unsealy courts. We'll get to that at some point. But you're right. So nobody in the 1300s in England was talking about, and just not to pick on England. I got friends there, and it's cool. Yeah. But
Shout out Rivers.
Right? Yeah, exactly. What's a Shout out Rivers Road? but. I wonder if whatever the fuck is really going on, it's like, let's say the Archons meets the Tulpa, the thought form, right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's like,
that's what I think it is.
It's like they're dipping in to the gray matter, and they're trying to make us manifest them based on what we expect to see or feel. Yeah, that's fucked. That's super fucked, because that means that the aliens aren't real at all. It means that there's some other fucked up thing that's like making us believe through that sort of mind worm that aliens are real. I mean,
exactly.
Yeah.
Like the ancient aliens' perspective on that, it's just like, oh no, they just like didn't have the words for it. They just couldn't describe it. So like what they're saying is just an incomplete picture. If they had all the tools to work with, if they had your mind, they would just say it's an alien abduction. They would use all the technical speak that you have access to. And it's just like, all right, that's possible. But it's also possible that just like there's some type of force, some type of intelligence, some type of hand that just reaches in from the beyond, from the outside, reaches in and like is trying to shape culture, trying to shape the mind, trying to shape the zeitgeist through these collective experiences, through these memes, through these things in the pop culture, until like, yeah, we said it a bunch, and I think it's a lot of credence to it. You know, they're trying to if we're the reality creators, if through the double slit experiment, if the receiver, if the one observing reality is the one creating it, and that primarily is the human, like then some type of entity, some type of being is trying to like manifest itself through the manifesting engine, which is the human mind. You know? Yeah.
Ash, what's your take there, buddy?
You're all fucking crazy. No.
we just threw this whole MF into the blender and smashed puree. What are your thoughts?
You know, it's funny.
It's funny how you just cut out.
Oh man,
does the internet die?
Reptilian overlords have had enough.
Can you hear me?
All right. It's funny how and you cut out. Go ahead.
It's funny how, it's like, so I kind of believe, this is my ongoing theory, let's put it to you that way, that if remote viewing is real, then souls are real. And then if souls are real, you could just throw the whole fucking thing out, because that means that the soul level is more important and more real than the reality. And where do you see that? You see that when people take drugs, they say, this shit is more real than here, right? So I think that this they talk about frequency, vibration. I think that this is like knock on wood's nuts and bolts kind of reality. And I think that when you're not in the game, you can influence it from outside of it. And that there's different levels and layers and dimensions that bring you closer or further away from this reality. And so, like, they say, like, a lot of ancient cultures, their ancestors, they speak to their ancestors. Who knows what the fuck they're talking to? Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. But they might be talking to, like, demons, like, as we say. But, like, a demon could just be some guy who's, like, basically a consciousness, right? Let's take the words away. Aliens, demons, take it all away. Strip it down to a consciousness that was, like, had fun playing this game and wants to hang out and influence it from the outside. And
dimensional influencer. That's a t-shirt. I'm writing that down.
and like, if you look at like what the elites believe and what I see a lot of in my everyday, like it's like there's rules like karmic rules and this and that. And a lot of the extraterrestrials, air quotes, they know the rules and they abide by them more than we do, and they have telepathy and all this stuff. And for a while there, I thought telepathy was nuts and bolts. I thought they just put a chip in you. But it may be an innate ability that you can access with your soul, and that your human body, our human bodies, are one of the only conscious beings, humanoid beings, that limit our access to those abilities, to our soul's abilities. And that's called an ISB. That's like a language that's perpetuating in the zeitgeist below. An ISB. A biological entity is a BE. You are. That's what you are. And so these, I would take a look at the Farsight Institute. Those guys, again, I bring them up all the time, but they're onto a lot of stuff. But I'm not beholden to any one theory right now. I'm free floating like you guys, shooting from the hip. I'm keeping them open-minded. I think it's all fascinating. And I think to some degree it's all true, right? And like with this prevalent theory, what if one consciousness just gained enough influence, right, that he has a lot of consciousness beings outside of our reality, that they basically have formed a realm, right? And then that realm influences us, and we get little peeks into that realm. That consciousness would be like a god, but only because the other consciousnesses is like give him that authority and direct their conscious energy into it. So it's like if you can kind of boil it down to these kind of like cultist elite rule sets, and then you extrapolate with all the religions and stuff. That's kind of like my ongoing theory. And honestly, like as a limited human, I need some fucking you know how they're looking for the theory of everything. I need my own theory of everything, or I'm gonna go fucking nuts. I swear to God. Like I need something, and like to bring it all together, I found that one brings it together and makes me a little bit happy. I don't know if it's the truth. At this point, I don't even fucking care, like, because I'm not gonna find out. I really I don't think you will until you die or whatever. And like I mentioned, I have friends who've taken peyote in the desert and talked to God for 10 hours. And I haven't had those experiences, but
to that point, I mean,
that's so hot. That's so hot. Go ahead.
I haven't had a lot of those. I haven't had a lot of those either. But there's one book I read back in the day called The Way of the Shaman, where they talk about people, like their journeys, like chronicling what it's like to basically take an ayahuasca journey and just like paralleling it with different types of shamanic experiences. And you were talking about the reptilian thing, and a lot of these experiences, what they see is some type of like reptilian, whether it's a serpent or whatever. They're guided by some type of like reptilian snake type thing, So there's a chance that like all of this ancient aliens lore and stuff, and the reason why these cultures are all talking to seemingly similar things could be none of them are actually talking to anything coming from space. It's all just weird hallucinogen type, machine elf type stuff, taking different ideas. And that ties right into the idea of like these machine elf type things that we're seeing when we take substances, trying to what they, I don't know, the machine, the
it could be server code. It could
Yes.
be server code.
That's exactly
right. It could be admins.
Yeah.
You know,
isn't it interesting?
Hey, I want to be a human.
Machine elves. No. Interesting. They're called machine elves. Like we're taking DMT and the Terrence McKenna, and the term came out machine elves, not like.
I think he called them. I think he called them clockwork elves too and stuff. It's like machine. Yeah. So the machine gives it a technological skew to it, but like I always see it as like in my mind's eye, I see it as like they're performing a function like a gear and a clock. Like they're always like they're working towards something. They're performing some type of task. Like they're building something. Which just like kind of leads like, and we've said it kind of a million times. The idea of all these tech elites, the ones who are building our technology, most of them have some type of psychedelic experience, like Steve Jobs. All like just across the board, they're either into the occult directly or they get their ideas from the other side via some type of hallucinogen or whatever, you know? So if there is some type of conscious entity that's trying to guide humanity to get it to build, it's the same idea. What's guiding us to build technology? What's guiding us to make something? It's the same, like, I don't know. It's
that's a good point. It's like, where does the fucking alien begin and the entity and Cthulhu and the government? Exactly. Where the fuck do the lines go and where are they drawn? And are you all having fucking weird alien orgies in like the fucking astral realm? I mean, Alex Jones talks about his fucking dad was like in the 70s. They were like turning off their heart and getting all jacked up on fucking DMT and talking to elves. And he's like a kid and he's hearing his dad, oh, the elves want this and the elves want that. What the fuck is that?
No, you know what that is.
Government.
No, you know what that is. Exactly.
That was the professors and stuff.
That's the interdimensional government that is tapped into the elite class that is actually filtering down through the inverted pyramid to tell us what we should be doing, which, of course, back to what Jennifer said, and I agree wholeheartedly, and it's really been a backbone and premise of this show, to eschew your individuality because of what they want. Not because of what you want, because of what they want. You understand what
But
I'm
you have to
saying?
consent.
You have to consent. You have to give it up. You have to give it up. Exactly. And that's why they hate us. That's why, again, this whole, which is super, back to Twitter just real quick and Elon Musk, which is super fascinating as fuck. Because basically it was literally just like super left. And again, no offense. I've been a Democrat my whole life. I was born in California, raised in California, the rest of that. I voted for all the people you would expect me to, right? But once the left became like, what the fuck are you people doing? I was like, no more. Like, this is ridiculous. Yeah. Like, you people have gone off the fucking rails and I'm no longer part of whatever the shit you're calling that anymore, right? And so my point is that it's, in some capacity, that left pushed so hard to what? To the hive mind. That's what they wanted. They didn't like. It kind of doesn't matter the ideology at some point. The control is what matters, because once the control is locked in, the ideology changes and the control persists. You see, so and that's why they hate us. That's why the righties hate us. That's why the lefties hate us. That's why everybody hates us, because we're like, wait, what? Like, do you understand that? Like, the universe is a very big place. And it doesn't exist in the paradigm of your bullshit arguments. It doesn't. And so that's why they hate us. Anyway, just to, again, backbone of this show. That's why we've always done this and talked about this in terms of like, hey, you know, like, and by the way, I could be wrong. Right?
Well,
and that's the whole point.
The Mustang, I just can't like, it takes more from me than somebody to make fun of the woke people. You know what I mean? It's just like the Antichrist, all the Antichrist has to do now is just shit on the left. And half the people in the world are gonna believe everything he says, cause they just make fun of woke people.
Can you imagine like the biblical fucking Bible it's like it was referencing like Elon Musk being like, I'm gonna put Coke back in Coca-Cola. And he shall deceive the masses with Coke and Coca-Cola. You know? That's kind of funny.
No. But hold on though. So you're correct in that, right? But it's also like low hanging fruit. Because like intellectually, even in like the most minor level, it's like, what are you people even fucking doing? It's like they put themselves in that position to get shit on, and then they're like,
that's the purpose. I think that's my view on it. It's there on purpose. It's bait. they're baiting you. It's
Right.
like most of the left don't feel like that. Like the internet left is not the left in the same way the internet right is not the right. The ones that you see on the internet is not my mom is left. She's not like that. My family's left. They're not like that.
Yeah.
Like, and it's like my coworkers are right and they're not like that. And it's like these conversations don't get had outside of the internet, and they find
that's the conversations they allow and that they want you to have.
Exactly.
They don't want to have the
polarizing
conversations on like where that $4 trillion went and like audit all that shit.
Exactly.
We're not going to have that conversation.
20 trillion. What do you mean 4? 20 trillion.
Oh, we'll starve your ass. We'll burn some more fucking foods to keep. You want to have that conversation? All right, okay.
Yeah. But again, back to the control. That's the whole point, right? The whole point is like the boot on the neck and the control. And it doesn't matter the ideology. Once control is locked, they can change the ideology, and you follow right along like a fucking puppy, like a fucking I'm just a fish in a pond.
Like I just watched. I saw so many people be like, I don't know, just the last how many years people have been like, fuck Twitter, I'm going to MeWe or I'm going to Telegram or whatever.
And
it's like
this, that. Fuck.
How many people did you see yesterday being like, every single post being like, oh, I might actually join Twitter now. And it's just like, cool. I mean, they just brought, if like Musk and Bezos both called Twitter the quote town square yesterday. And it's like, yeah, it's the town square, but it's also the stable. And they just like corralled us all back into the same place again.
Yeah.
And it's like when this all, and it's just, I don't know. I just call me a conspiracy theorist, but I just don't trust the richest guy in the world, especially when he talks about plugging us into AI and he names his kids after AI demons and his baby mama wants to change herself to do anything.
I'm with you. And this is why again, like you can't follow people. Number one, you cannot follow people. Ever. Look, listen to me. I'm telling you, clip this, send it around the fucking whoever fucking finds me 10 years from now. You cannot follow people. If you listen to me and you're like, God damn, Michael Strange is right. No, stop. Full stop. Because I'm not right about everything. I'm right sometimes, but I'm also wrong sometimes. And then there's a gray area in between. Stop. If you are following people, you're wrong. Period.
Yeah.
My opinion. Period. Like you got to take what people say in doses and make your own decisions. Back to Jennifer and the sovereignty of the individual. If you can't think for yourself, what the fuck are you doing? Real quick, what's up, Bailey in the chat? How you doing, Bailey? He says this, and I agree 100% with Bailey. Literally, not even like hedging a single iota. I agree 100% with what Bailey just said. Liberal is so far left, they've started to go right again. And Bailey's right.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
That's exactly what it is. It's like, what, are you fucking kidding me? Like, yeah. And I've always said this. Like, I'm not an ideologue. I desire the center. Not because I'm a centrist, because I know what the far left and the far right bring, and it's both genocide. Right? Yeah. Centrism is trash, too. But it's better than getting butchered. I'll give you that. Right? And that's the way I think. That's it. And like in a political world, if you're like I said, and I always say this, like everybody, like people, my critics would say to me, "Oh, he's a fucking right-wing piece of shit." No, the left is winning, so that's why seems like I lean right. Because I promise you, if it was the other way around, I would lean left. I promise you, because I'm not trying to like bring about anything other than just think sovereignty of the individual. Don't give it up. It's the most important thing to you in your entire life. Don't give it up to some other motherfucker that wants to like tell you what to think. I'm not doing it. I will not do it. And here we are.
And the same thing to entities that are out in the ether. Don't give up your sovereignty to an extra-dimensional entity that would want to possess your body from summoning them accidentally because Demi Lovato told you to. Be careful.
No. That is actually a huge problem that like the government's supposed to be I believe they're in contact with them or elites or whatever, and they're supposed to be managing this relationship on our behalf with these entities, and they can be emotionally influenced and have a spiritual experience, and boom, that's it. They're dedicated to whatever the hell they want, and that's what they're going to do from now on. And it's another reason bringing it all back to disclosure. We need as much information as possible that people do to make informed decisions, to consent to these things. And to have these conversations to kind of peel this stuff back. And like, we can talk about lefty righty. That's fine. We could have those fights, but that's only a small portion of the information that is potential possible for you to even know, right? So how can you make any fucking good decision if you don't if you've never been outside of a room and someone throws a muffin in there, you're gonna have some opinions on that muffin. But if you lived a normal life and I gave you a muffin, you're gonna have a different opinion about the muffin.
Does that muffin have sesame seeds? Because I got opinions. No, just kidding. Just kidding.
I tell you what, if you've only had like fucking sloth, and I give you a muffin with sesame seeds, you're not gonna even know what those seeds are, bro. That's what I like. I look at my dogs, and I literally was tricking my dog. I would show him my hands. There's nothing in my hands. I'd pull food out of the air, and I'd show it to him. Ooh, food, and I show it to him. I did that 15 times in a row. 15 times in a row. I'd show him there's nothing in my hands, and I'd grab the air, and I'd show it to the dog like it's food, and every single fucking time he was like, ooh, food. And that's kind of like the analogy for us. We're like, oh, fuck the left, fuck the right. Let's do this and this and this. But there is no food, It's like, I don't know.
There is no spoon. Back to the Matrix. There is no spoon, right?
Left, right. Which side's talking about the fact that all the presidents are all part of the same bloodline?
None of them. None of them.
You go in the woods and they suck each other off, bro. Like,
right.
That's the least of what they're doing out there.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Who knows, man? And they're burning effigies to their fucking owl god that looks a little bit like a gray alien. I don't know, and then the people who ask them questions, we don't even have control of them, right? That's all staged, right? All the way up to them, it's all staged. So like that's how I felt about Twitter. It's like they want to control the conversation there so that they could be like, look, this is the conversation, and then do whatever the fuck they want. But I will say it used to be easy for them. I think they're fucking annoyed these days. I think it's more annoying than ever for them to try and control stuff. But if they can get it locked down from here on out, it's going to be smooth sailing.
I mean, that's why I think it is complicated, and that's why I think they're using more nuanced tactics, like getting you to like the richest person in the world and getting you to applaud when this oligarch takes over the social platform, like the one who's gonna, like in a million years when we look back and look at Emperor Elon, like the one who, like, I don't know, are we gonna be thinking about the same thing, that we're gonna be applauding when he took over the social media? I'm not sure. I don't know. I hope I'm just a conspiracy theorist and he does what he says he's gonna do, but it's just like, I don't know.
No, I'm with you, and this is the thing too. It's just like when any new regime I say comes in, and it was like Donald Trump. I'm like, hey, you know what? Like he seems like an obtuse bastard, but the things he's saying in some capacity from his speech writers, some of that makes sense. Let's roll it, right? But
a lot of it was the fact that he trolled the left, though. A lot of it was, I don't want to say his name, but a lot of it's, again, just the fact that he made fun of the left, and people liked that. That was like more so than they liked him. They liked the fact that he shit on the left. Well, and like, I'm not going to
because they've caricatured themselves, right? Like
exactly,
literally, it's turned into it's not even people anymore, and that's the whole point. That's literally the whole point of this like left-right paradigm. And again, back to that "don't say gay" bill. And I know it's not called that, right? But it's called that in the media. So when I say that, you know what I'm saying, right? So I know it's not called that. But for instance, right, the lefties are calling the righties Nazis, and the righties are calling the lefties pedophiles, right? You see, and literally 99.5% of that is not even fucking true, because think about that, right? Like that means we have half a country of Nazis and the other half is pedophiles. That's not true at all. It can't be.
I'm a Nazi pedophile. I don't. Where the fuck am I supposed to go?
Exactly. But my point is.
I molest the Jews. It's fine.
Right. And again, like literally, and then like that just tumbles down. Hey, don't ever say that again. It tumbles downhill in a bad way, right? And it's on fire and gasoline and all the shit. But my point is all of that, and I've said this a lot, and I'll continue to say this. The entire reason of that, the entire paradigm of that left-right shitting on each other is the depersonning of the individual. That's what it's always been about, right? Because you can't say, like a Night Stalker, like he's a thoughtful guy. He works at night in a grocery store. He calls into troubled minds. He listens to a lot of like esoteric type podcasts and stuff. Like that's like a, like a probably a boil it down to a decent representative of what Derek is, right? But the second you step out of line one way or the other, you're a Nazi or you're a pedophile, right? You see, and this is what I'm saying. It's not about any of those things. It's about unpersoning the individual. Back to what Jennifer said. I agree 100%. That's what this is all about. There's nuance and there's actual conversations to be had with many of these things. And again, not saying I'm right about any of these things. I'm saying there are conversations to be had with them. Back to, I'm not going to say, I'm not going to, not even.
Well, no, just putting a label on them and fucking, that's it. They're fucking this and they're fucking that. And that's it. And you sum up everything they are.
That's it.
Everything they've ever been.
Everything
they can
in one word.
to just one little label.
In one word. Yeah. Yep, exactly.
Yep.
I just think there's like so much nuance. I think it's like so much mind games that it's just like, maybe I'm just like too conspiratorial to that, but I just think that like it's all just like fucking bullshit. I don't know. It's tough to say that, but it's just like it's all there to like make us angry, and then to have people talk about the shit that's there to just make us angry in the first place. That's fucking not real to begin with, and it's just like
that's that loose shit.
That loose shit. They're just trying to drain out loose from us.
You ever notice when things start getting good, it's always got to be some bullshit. There's always like the Ukraine war. I was like, man. I was like that. People keep saying the Loosh thing, like these reptilians. This is like this one theory. They're sitting outside of a realm and they're feeding off our negativity. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, cool story, bro. But like, they always got to have some shit going on, bro. Like, I mean,
that literally happens on the internet. Like, Jay talks about all the time the fact that he has to angry react to the posts on Facebook now because the angry reacts are more valuable than the positive reacts. So the internet is literally feeding on our Loosh right now. You know, it's not that hard to believe.
Yes.
You know.
Yes.
Crazy.
Exactly.
I'll let you guys go.
You're right.
I'm rambling. We're over the road.
No. But, I'm sitting here in my reptilian chair nude, just eating off your negativity, just rubbing my reptilian nipples.
It's good.
Exactly. No,
but sure you go.
This is why we do this, and this is why we like devolve into the third hour into literally a conversation, right? Like, like I said, the first 2 hours, fringe, it's fine. There's like commercial breaks. You got to cut people off. You got to like manage the times and stuff. And this is why we do the third hour, exactly for this reason, because this is the way the show should be. In the end of it, this is the way it should. Like you just start. Hey, I got to take a leak. We're gonna take a couple minute break and then come back and just keep talking, right? Like that's what this is about. But you see, right? You feel it. Look, again in the intro of this show, you're here for a reason. I said it was muffled by some kind of voice modulator because, well, I don't have like fancy voiceover artists to do my own fucking intros, so I do my own fucking intros myself. But you're here for a reason. It feels right. It feels like, hey, look. Like, this is not brainwash. This is like the opposite. It's like, and that's the whole goal. The whole goal is like, look, let's unlock some of that stuff and let's fucking look up and not look down. It feels right. If it doesn't feel right, look, I'll tell you what, if it doesn't feel right, I'm out of here. I'm gone. Like, why are we doing this? Because we're just fucking Sean Hannity or we're Don Lemon. And I don't want to be either one of those guys. I just don't. No thanks.
Agree.
Double no
agree.
thanks. Yeah.
That's why you're here, Mike. To give us all something else to listen to, you know, participate in, you know,
something else. Get in here, get the fuck in here and talk. James, you've been quiet for a long time. Takes on all this shit. Let's wrap this up.
So, I have a hypothetical situation, series of events here that I just want to see what you all think of.
Hit me.
So let's say someone way back in the past, through either some kind of a chemical, some kind of hallucinogen, or some kind of injury, has this vision, and they see these things that they don't know what they are, these figures or this one figure. They go back to their people after they recover. They say, I saw this, let's just say Gray, whatever. I saw this. This is real. More and more people start hearing about this. More and more people start focusing on this idea. And then eventually they start getting together in big groups to talk about this, and or even to try to contact this, or to communicate with it to get help in life. whether it's for the community or individually or both. There you go. You have rituals and or ceremonies and or even fairs or festivals.
Yeah.
And then all that energy is going somewhere. And it either makes or summons whatever it is.
Tulpas.
And it gets to that form.
Archons.
And
beating off negative energy.
Some of these people, well, here's the thing though. Some of these people, I'm getting to that part. Some of these people that are in these groups that participate in these things, they are government leaders.
Oh yeah.
And they all start supporting this, and they all start sponsoring these kind of meetings, and these kind of festivals, and these kind of ceremonies. And more and more and more energy is fed to who knows what it is. And it gets more and more powerful, and it wants more and more power. Until eventually you have entire countries focusing on this one being.
Exactly. And go inside of any like government building, and it's pretty ritualistic in there. And all their ceremonies are rituals, and they wear robes, and they wear all kinds of ceremonial garbs, and they have seats and titles, and it's a ceremony. They are ceremonies. Like you go over to Britain, they're still wearing powdered wigs there during their trials and stuff. Like it's all crazy magical ceremonies and rituals and stuff. And it's just, what are we feeding? Like what kind of power? Where's the power going? You know, a great point, James. Like it's trippy to think about.
And then now, technology gets better and better, and you don't even have to meet everyone anymore.
James, are you taking this to the metaverse with Cthulhu? Damn you!
Going somewhere. That's the thing. It's going somewhere. Where is it going to?
Yeah.
Or who is it going to?
And then imagine all like something on the other side that started that whole thing was like waiting or was getting a little impatient and decided to like move a branch to like that made that original person like change paths and find the map or like throw out an instruction manual or do something to nudge that whole process in the beginning. Like what if that whole ensuing like the event that started it all was seeded by something from the other side? Like it feeds itself, you know? Like.
And what if on the other side there is no time?
Exactly.
Circle.
Like, so they're waiting us out. It's a game of attrition. They're like, you fucks have this time in this like life cycle of humanity, and you live and you die, and we just wait, and we just continue to press with the demonic pressure or whatever the fuck's going on here.
I mean, what if that's the whole thing? Like, what if time is just there to grow ideas? Like, what if the time is the manifesting like thing? It's like it gives like it grows. What creates the growth? It allows the ability for them to manifest, be able to shift the ideas. If everything was just happening all at once, they wouldn't have the ability to like influence anything, because there'd be no influencing if everything was happening like at the same time. You have to make some type of time mechanism in order to put your influence into something, you know.
And also, I know you went to kind of you're thinking of like the negative aspect. What if there are multiple of these things out there? Some are good, some are bad, some are indifferent.
Oh yeah, hopefully.
And so you have this entire mix of, again, we don't even know what they are: aliens, angels, demons, gods, deities.
All the above, I think.
Yep.
I think it's so. My favorite theories are ones that allow for everything. It's not excluding anything. They're all. We just don't have the terms to label everything yet, but everything's all. It's all in the mix.
Yeah. No, I always say that. I feel like anything is possible. I feel like everything does exist somewhere.
Exactly.
And I stand by that. People sometimes ask me, what's my one theory on ghosts or aliens, and it's like I don't have one theory. Well, my one theory is this: everything is somewhere.
Yeah. All right, Mike. Thank you.
Get the fuck out of here, Night Stalker. Night Stalker.
What the fuck did you do? You came here, you took a fucking crazy dump. Now we don't even know. We don't even know what the fuck the subject was.
Wait.
I gotta take it because the aliens aren't doing it. The aliens can't poop, so somebody has to.
Hey, callback joke.
Later,
Show you
Derek.
guys. I'll see you later. Bye.
Great stuff as always. Derek, the Night Stalker, Stocker, works at a grocery store at night. Literally takes his like 15-minute breaks to call us on the show as he's like furiously night stalking. Like I said, I can't be honored more than that. Like if you're like peeling off time from your job to like call into this show, it says a lot. Please, you listen to the man. He's brilliant. Please give him a follow. He's got a YouTube channel. Links in the description down below. It says follow the Night Stalker here. He's got one video on his YouTube channel. One video. He's got a trailer. Right? Let's inspire this MFer, which is a friend of mine, and I can call him that. Let's inspire Night Stalker to make more videos. Scroll down, links in the description, both on the podcast and on YouTube. And Rockfin, give him a follow on YouTube. And tell him, look, we appreciate you, bro. We appreciate you a lot. Back to Ash. Let's go to James after that, and let's wrap this fucker up.
What were we talking about? Poop?
Yeah, no, look, this is what I'm saying, right? I was just telling you, we're kind of chatting on the side, like, look, these are the best nights. Like, holy fuck. It's like, sometimes it's a labor, man, but man, other times, like, you just get brilliant people, like, show up and just spout off amazing shit. And not only that, in terms you never considered, right? Like, look, we started out tonight with sort of like kind of a, like a government people vanilla premise of disclosure, but look where we got, man. Like, holy fucking shit. We got to archons, and we got to, I mean, man, that's what disclosure is about. It's about us talking to each other about what the fuck's really going on in the world, man. I'll tell you what, right?
Yeah, man. And you know what? There's a theme that was brewing, is that throughout the whole night, from the callers to everything like that, is, it's tough to know what is what, and we're kind of all figuring it out together, whether it's disclosure, whether it's Luis or Elon, or who to trust, or what information. We have to kind of sort that out for ourselves, and on that journey, we need to be able to like navigate these landmines of like putting labels on things, right? Number one, putting labels on people and dismissing them, on getting trapped into these thought pockets, to not limiting what we're open to and what we talk about and what we can think about, and not getting caught like that's an angel, that's a demon, that's what is that entity? I like that word. It's a fucking ambiguous. I don't fucking know, right? And figuring that out together, and not getting tricked and trapped and flipped and flammed. And so great conversation tonight. Originally we were talking about disclosure and this and that, and we'll keep up with that. We always do, right, Mike? You keep up with it on your channel, absolutely. My channel.
Hey, I watched the shit out of this. Ash was like, "Hey, what about this, and this?" And I had seen half of the links he sent me. I didn't see the UFO Jesus interview, but I watched it tonight before the show, and I mean, it was okay. But like, I think Lou Elizondo gave him like half an hour, so it's like. We struggle sometimes to like give full ideas in 3 hours, so I don't know how you do a half an hour interview. That's fucked. So to UFO Jesus' credit, I've been a critic.
He had good questions, though. He did have he had good questions,
good thoughts and good questions, and he was fired up.
There was only 4 of them.
Yeah, right. Did you count them? Yeah. I think so. Exactly. Yeah, because he had no time. There's no fucking time, and so that's okay, right? That's okay. But that's the whole point. It's like, look, let's just talk to each other. Like even like the most like divisive divides, right? The largest chasms. I promise you, if we try our best to understand each other, those chasms become right almost nothing. It's like
and that's not as a Nazi pedophile, you just guys gotta.
God damn it!
I thought that was a great joke.
Why?
There's a lot of people who said that was funny as hell, man.
It is funny as hell, but you're gonna get me banned from the fucking internet.
I mean, that's a risky joke, man. But you know how it is. The risky, it pays off, and I thought that was pretty funny.
Risky pays off. All right, Ash.
I didn't have a chance to think about it. I probably wouldn't have said it.
Yeah, exactly right. I think that's part of the problem. Hey, like Rob, shout out to Rob out there who listens to every show. He's all, Mike, I got he's like, I can't even imagine like the size of your balls, like going up there live every night and like living on the edge. Here we are. living on the edge. I tell you what, right? Some of these jokes come out sideways, but that's the point. The point is that you can misspeak, and look, you have a track record as a human being, as an individual. And if you say one fucked up thing, does it really negate every good thing you've ever done in your whole life? Of course not. No, that's the dumbest fucking notion ever. But you see why they use it. You see why they use it, right? Like, no.
Oh, it's useful.
No, fucking right, it's useful.
No. Back to the main subject. Elon basically got that guy canceled. Like, he got that guy canceled, bro. Like, he that guy was pushing back, saying he wasn't part of it and all this kind of stuff. This was like one of the intelligence officers for the DOJ and all this, saying he never was involved and all this, basically trolling and giving pushback. And he was like, all right, well, I see that you've been sexually harassing women at work. And he got him canceled like that with that tactic. So, it's kind of fucked up too. I mean, he did it right. So you kind of you dig your own grave to that degree. But that's how he got rid of that guy. He didn't get rid of him because of truth and justice in the American way. He got his ass canceled. And so, just to kind of bring back to the main subject, that is a tactic, and that's what Lewis did.
Yeah,
and it's wild. It's wild.
Welcome to the fucking thing. Speaking of amazing people, Ash here, a good friend of mine. Please give him a follow. He's got a YouTube channel called Ash the Reptilian from Mars, spelled exactly like I spelled it, because it's a branding thing. Check it out, and links in the description. Go actually follow this dude. Ash is a brilliant guy, and again, he was actually like a full-time co-host of the show for a year almost. I mean, shit, man. You've been here a lot, so people that have been around, they know you, but people that haven't, they don't. And you're not just some flyby. You've been in this game for quite a long time. And he talks about the aliens and the conspiracy. Check out his channel and all kinds of things in peripheral to that, right? So because of course everything is not so binary as oh, it's aliens, so it must be conspiracy, or the other way around. It's not. It's complicated. As always,
it is. It's fucking complicated.
Yeah. It's fucking complicated. Link in the description. Fucking follow Ash. If you don't follow Ash, I don't love you anymore. You got it?
Wow.
I used to love you out there, but if you don't follow Ash, I don't love you anymore. Damn. It's as simple as that.
Well, I'll take
right.
Yeah.
All right, let's roll it. Ash, you're the best. Thanks for peeling out the time. Thanks for wanting to talk about this stuff. I dodge this stuff mostly because I think, a lot of this is sort of, it's one of those things where I'm annoyed with the developments of, quote, disclosure, right? So it's on me. It's on me that I don't talk about it more often. It's my fault. Because I'm less interested anymore, because we've talked about it so fucking much. But I think it's critical and important to this, the overall conversation, that this does happen. So thank you for blipping in here from time to time and being like, hey, Mike, what the fuck? All this shit went down. You ain't talked about it yet. I'm like, yeah, you're right. But look how amazing this turned out. So I appreciate it very much. Got Ash the Reptilian from Mars. Hey, I'm talking here. Hey.
No, thank you, Mike. I appreciate that. And honestly, the main reason why I eventually did stop co-hosting was just because it is so much work. So I have a lot of respect for you and doing this every night. And I got a taste of what that's like. So you guys gotta give it to Mike.
Thank you.
Like the videos, and show him some love, because it is a lot of work. And hey, we ain't getting those. I heard it was dude, some of these CNN, Fox News motherfuckers get $50,000 a night or some crazy shit to spew propaganda for the industrial mill. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's right. Yeah, fucking
it's
right.
Wild, and we out here fucking
grinding it for basically free. For I was in the red,
bro. I can't have a normal conversation with people. I mean, I keep bringing it up, but it's I'm I just don't talk. I'm talking to a normal person. I'm don't talk about aliens. Don't talk about aliens. Don't talk about aliens. Yeah. So, what do you think about aliens? God damn it!
Fuck! Now you've done it. No, look, 3 years in the red, right? Finally, the show's in the black barely, and it's a success, or is it? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it is because
I would say so.
Like I said,
based on the conversations I'm hearing,
exactly, because we have us.
I honestly do feel You are fighting the good fight, man. It seriously is the most important shit to talk about. So, I mean, let's say consciousness. Let's say we don't reincarnate, or we do, or whatever. It doesn't matter. It's all about the human experience and like actually having that spiritual journey. So you have to have these fucking wild conversations to like explore reality, and like you provide a place for that. So that's really awesome. And I also provide a place for that on my YouTube channel.
Links
you
in
like
the
that?
description.
Yeah,
Links in the description.
Yeah,
hey man, look, it's part of the thing. You got to bring it all the way around. All right, James, you got a James Tro for us, or you got some just shut the fuck up, Mike? I'm done with you. What you got for us, my man? Let's get the fuck out of here.
No, neither. But this is a great show, great discussion, great calls and everything, and I love being here with you all as always.
I appreciate it. James, Salcedo Paranormal, check it out. Links also in the description. Good friend of mine, good friend of the show. You guys know, if you listen to the show at all, you know him, and he's blossoming. His butterfly has turned into, I don't know, he's going to be like a pterodactyl pretty soon, and I'm going to be begging him to like not swoop me up and drop me in the ocean, and that's just the way sometimes things work, right? James, you're the best. Ash, you're the best. You guys are amazing. Thanks for hanging out. Thanks for being part of this. All the rest of you, literally every single one of you that listen to this live, listen, this is what is known as actual engagement, right? We start a conversation, I ask some questions, people call, we have a conversation. That's real engagement, not the old school Twitter engagement. We'll see. The Elon Musk remains to be seen about Twitter engagement. If it fucking sucks, I'm gonna call it out too, right? I'm no fucking like, I'm not an ideologue. I'm not. If the shit sucks under Elon Musk, I'm going to bitch and moan about it too, and call them out for being a bunch of assholes, right? So the point is this. When we get together and talk about things, it's important, all right? And it doesn't matter whether you're religious, whether you're not religious, whether you're somewhere in between. It doesn't fucking matter. You see, right? That part matters. The part matters is that none of that matters. Here we are. Thank you so much for being part of this. Thanks for understanding, for all the imperfections of us as being humans, and, well, Ash as being a reptile. He's a little less perfect than most because he's a reptile. But what can I say? We're still friends, and I accept Ash as one of us. And if you all right, so let's get the fuck out here. It goes like this. If you want to help the show, look, and notice I don't spend the whole goddamn show like pimping the shit. If you want to help the show, there are a number of ways. Troubledfans.com. Hats, shirts, things coming. New merch every day. Check it out. Stickers, mouse pads, you got it. It's there, right? Troubledfans.com. Another few ways. You can sub up on Rockfin. You can sub up on Twitch. You can sub up on Patreon. If you like the show, but you don't love the show, or you don't have the means to spend some money, well, listen to the podcast feed. The podcast is Spotify. That's going to be iTunes. Anywhere you get your podcast feeds for free, 100% free. Just put on an old show. There's nearly 400 fucking episodes of Troubled Minds. This may be the 400th that goes up for all I know. 402nd even. Who knows? Like, there's that many. And if you think this conversation is awesome, holy fuck, there's gold there. Go check. When you're making dinner someday on a Saturday night and you're like, God, there's nothing to do, put on an old Troubled Mind show you haven't heard. I promise you, most times it's going to be pretty good. I can't make all the promises because they're not all amazing, but for the most part, we have great conversations mostly these days. So there you go. It's as simple as that. Spread the word. Thank you so much for being part of this. Thanks for making my world go round. Thanks for helping me and us and everybody here provide a platform to actual independent thought, right? It's become a novel notion, which seems fucking ridiculous. It doesn't have to be. So let's get the hell out of here. You guys have a fantastic night. It goes exactly like this as we finish. I'm going to read this quote from James. James pulled this out for me. I'm going to read it one more time. And I think this is exactly where we need to head with exactly this. It's because we kind of don't know. St. Anthony said he sometimes encountered devils who looked like angels, and other times angels who looked like devils. When asked how he could tell the difference, he said that you can only tell which is which by the way you feel after the creature has left your company.